Welcome to another episode of Reseller Evolution. I'm Scott.
And I'm Carl.
How's it going, Carl?
Good. It's really good. This is episode 60.
This isn't really Scott. This is a AI robot pretending to be.
Well, as long as it's useful. Do you ever use the ChatGPT thing?
Yep, I used it the other day.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So I think I texted you. I think I sent you a picture of that war medal that was worth $1,800.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Isn't that sad? That's how many bolos are coming through. It's like, I forgot about that one.
So I listed it, and
Yeah.
2 days I had tons of watchers. I had no, what do you call that? No promoted listing on it, but I was getting tons of watchers and no buyers. So I'm like, okay, this thing is just way too. I didn't even list it for $1,800. I listed it for $1,500, although the comps were saying it's $1,800, and I couldn't get the comps on eBay. It's so rare; it's not on eBay.
Yeah,
I had to go on actually special military badge sites to figure it out. So, anyways, I got the right. It looks it right and everything, but a guy messaged me. And he goes, can you please give me the dimensions? And I'm like, this is like 7 a.m, and I'm still in bed, right? And I'm like, I just texted him. I said, thank you for your interest. But if you look at all the pictures, you're going to see the last two have the measurements. The item is next to a ruler. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you, Scott. You know what I mean?
Wow,
like that's
nice. Wow, look at professional Scott at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Well, good. Dude, it's first of all, I do that with every message.
$1,800.
It's a $1,500 item, right?
$1,500. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what a dummy, doesn't know what he's doing. And then he goes, yeah, I saw that. That's not what you're saying. It is not what it is. He says it's not the cap badge, it's the collar badge, which is significantly less. In value.
Right, okay.
He goes,
but this is good that he's telling you this. This is awesome.
I thanked him. Don't get me wrong.
This is wonderful,
So I said to him, I said, okay, thank you. And then I ended the listing. I'm going to check into it. And there's a reason ChatGPT got into this conversation. And this is this is a long way of saying, yeah, I still use it. So anyways, I couldn't find anything on the measurements, but the guy said that it measures, I think he said 2 inches. He definitely said 2 inches like height by, I think he said 1.5 inches wide is the cap badge. The collar badges are smaller, but they're both rare. So maybe I got a $500 item instead of a $1,800 item type thing. So, which is still beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure it's right. So I got to check some people. But anyways, I went on ChatGPT to find out the measurements. So I said, is there a difference? And they said, yes, there is. And I said, what is the difference? So they're basically, it said that they're similar in appearance, but one is, and they gave me measurements that were different than his, closer to what I have.
For the cap badge or for the collar badge?
For the cap badge. They said it was 1 point something inches.
Right. Okay. You have to be careful though, because I'll let you continue. Keep going. Yeah.
Well, I know how to use a ruler, and I took the ruler out to measure it, and it's about, and then so to make it kind of back to Canadian, it also gives me millimeters, and my measuring tape has one side inches and one side's the centimeter, right? So anyways, it's out by a bit, but it's not out that much. So it's basically, to make it confusing, it's a little bit smaller than the cap badge and a little bit bigger than what ChatGPT was saying.
So
for the collar,
I love ChatGPT.
Yeah,
but it can definitely be wrong.
Yeah. So I asked what the value was, and it said anywhere between $10 and $150. And then it says for most war medals, the best place to go for it, and give me places to figure this out. So it's just giving me a ballpark thing. Yeah. So anyways, Yeah, it's definitely real. It's got all the patina and everything. It's in very good condition. It
You know
was
what I
with
would do? You know
other
what I
war
would do?
metals. What's that?
You know what I would do is join those Facebook groups for metals and post on there and show the dimensions and ask for advice, because
Yeah,
those guys will know much more.
I
Like, Chat GPT is great, but when we're talking about this kind of value, I would take the extra time.
well, what happens is, and unfortunately he wasn't there because we had a vendor day on Monday, and I was planning on taking it to show him. He's a war metal guy. He's got a gazillion war metal. He's got more medals, cat badges, everything else, more war memorabilia than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um, outside of his collection, but he sells it there. So I would have assumed he would know or know who to get in touch with. Plus, when I sold those pilot suits,
Yes.
I was given what exactly you were saying, a Facebook page where military guys, because the guy was telling me that he put those suits onto this Facebook page, and
Mm-hmm.
he said everybody went crazy over it, like it was
Yeah.
so rare and unusual and what a neat find and stuff. So he was telling me that he took photos and put them on there. So I was going to go on to that next. So the wheels are in motion to do that kind of thing.
Okay.
It's just been couple of days, right? So
Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
lot of
we're
work to put up.
Wednesday and that was Monday. So
Yeah.
um so I guess that's kind of where it is right now with that. But at the end of the day, it's still very rare.
Yes.
I looked up what these guys did. These guys were the ones that would have went in first and set up the barbed wire, dug the trenches. These guys were the ones that, and this was World War One, and that's what these guys would have done. They would have done all that kind of prep before the fighting,
Wow.
which makes me wonder, like, would that be one of the most dangerous jobs? Because you're building the fortress for the soldiers, but you're out in the open with nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't want any of those jobs.
like, especially back in those days. You know
Oh
what
my
I
god.
mean?
Oh,
Like,
the sappers. Oh my god.
yeah, and you're just like shoveling it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh
but
my. It was horrific. Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, that's what it was, and Canadian military, World War One. So it is rare. I mean, I only found one site with this one. There's different inventories, like 1, 2, and 3. Uh, the 1 and 2, I found more of, but there's still none available that I could find. And this one is the number 3. I only found one site with the number 3 on it. So and
It's
it
hard
says
when stuff is this rare. Yeah.
yeah, and even the military site, for whatever reason, they said this is an extremely rare badge to find. So why that is, I don't know. But is there just less of those people around? Like less of that?
I got horrible ideas why there's so few badges, but I'm not going to
Well,
say them.
I mean, unless maybe you'll find
They
more if you had a metal detector. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
that's what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Um. So anyway, yeah. So that's that. So
Wow.
interesting
Actually,
stuff, but it's one of those things that like, okay, so if I get $500 for it, it's worth taking this time. But if it's worth
yes.
ends up being worth $50, I'm going down these rabbit holes of
Yeah.
wasted time. You know what I mean?
But you're
So,
also probably learning about other badges at the same time, right? And your
um,
chance of coming across badges again is pretty
to
good, right?
to a degree, like I think I
Mhm.
learn more the ones I list and sell. But right now, when I'm researching this, I see so many badges and so much stuff that I can't really retain everything I'm seeing, but I can retain the ones that I've sold. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that.
Like it
It's
just becomes like a cloud of metals right now.
I'm lucky if 5 or 10% of the information I look up gets into my brain,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then most of it just goes kind of back out again. But
yeah.
keep repeating, and I might get 30% in there eventually.
All right, 1 second, Carl. My son just got here.
So one cool thing is like this last weekend sales showed me a World War One little silver medal he got in a big lot. It was kind of cool, but I'm not sure exactly what it was for World War One. It was small, like an inch. But what was cool is on the back, it said if you're wearing this metal, and you're not supposed to wear it, it's a $500 fine and a
Okay.
year, 6 months or a year in prison.
Yeah. Is it like a Medal of Honor or a gold, like a
It's not like a medal. It's more like a, well, it's a medal, but it's not like, like a traditional, like, one with a ribbon or anything. It's just a
right,
little
right.
silver kind of like pin kind of thing.
Okay.
But it was really kind of cool. And $500 back then,
Yeah.
that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it was cool. He had seen them before, so he was pretty stoked about getting that. It was
Yeah.
kind of
I,
cool.
I I'm not sure what medal that would be. I'm just wondering if I would have had one or have one. Like I have a ton of medals that I have to go through. The problem is you go down these rabbit holes and a lot
Yeah.
of them aren't worth more than 10 $15, right? But then
Yeah.
a lot of them are. I've sold them for $150 and $75 and stuff like that. So I'd like to know what medal that is. Maybe
Yeah.
Serge has my email. Maybe Serge, if he's listening, send me a photo of that on my email. I'd be very interested to see that medal.
It's funny. It was so small, but it was cool. Like World War One too,
Yeah.
Uh I'm just taking a quick look. But yeah, I'm not that was kind of cool. Oh, here it is. According to this is World War II. Army General Service Volunteer Pin, sterling silver. Yeah. So $500 or 6 months in jail.
Oh, so maybe what people were doing were, well, I guess you could do that with any medal, but if they're kind of going as a volunteer for the service falsely, and maybe they're getting perks out of it.
Yeah, maybe. And like it says, World War II, not World War One. Canadian Army General Service Volunteer Pin, sterling silver, and it's like it's small, the size of your thumbnail, right?
Yeah.
But it was really neat. It was in a big lot of stuff he got.
So it's probably like a pin that you would, like a lapel pin.
It has a pin on the back, so like a screw pin. So, yeah, lapel pin. I'm not sure, but
Okay.
anyways, it was just related to the story you're just saying. Not the
Yeah.
$500 to $1,000 range, but or $1,500, but 50 to 100, I guess. But still, it was cool.
All right. Very good, very good. Yeah, war medals are good. I like to buy them in bulk because I don't know enough about them to buy them individually at auctions. But
Mm,
I usually get them in bulk. Like they'll be like 10 or 20 or like usually if there's like, let's say they had a collection of 50, they would divide them up in 2 or 3 lots. But I usually get them for under $20, $25 per lot, and there's going to be 15 or so or more in that lot.
yeah,
That's kind of where I can feel safe because, like I said, a lot of them are even probably hard to sell. Like they might be hard to sell if you're buying them or selling them for the lower, cheaper ones individually. I think the more expensive stuff's probably easier to sell because it's more rare, right? It's
well, there's
more exotic
demand for it. Yeah, there might not even be demand.
for some of those lower ones, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, and I don't want to pay too much and then get a bunch of ones that are worth $10. You know what I mean? Like I just buy them all, try to get them at a lower price, and then research them once I get them.
cool.
That's kind of my go to thing. This particular one was actually a lot from the book deal that I got. They auctioned the other stuff off, and I was able to get. There's one. I think I paid $40 for it, but because there's a metronome in there that's worth 45.
Yeah,
So there was a bunch of other stuff, and I saw some military badges. I saw there was a bunch, like it was a table full of stuff. Like I don't want to overemphasize it, but there was a lot of little stuff, and I could see some war medals in there. So I'm
mm,
like, I'll go up to 45 because I know the metronome's worth that. So
yeah,
everything else is
exactly.
gravy, right?
Yeah,
So I got it for $40 for the whole lot. So these medals are kind of free-ish. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I get
if
what
you
you
want
mean.
to look at it that way, that's
I
how
look at it that way too. Like I'll see a lot, and I'll bid on based on one thing I know, and the rest might be good or might be crap.
yeah, yeah.
But you'll learn
I,
something, right?
I mean, I would have took it for $10, but I'm just saying here's where my
Yeah,
threshold was because I
yeah,
knew it covered.
yeah.
But it went up to about $40, so I got within my threshold. But yeah, so that was fun and interesting, and we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with that medal.
I had
The week's been
the
going really good, dude.
yeah.
Everything's I like. I mean, everything has been fine. Okay, I got a question for you. Did
Yeah.
you get dinged with a thing on your item that I said I would reimburse you for?
Right. I was hoping you forgot about that.
No, I pay my debts, dude. So
So I went to Canada Post. Okay,
okay,
I got and the bet, not the bet, but the curiosity is, was Canada Post going to accept this, or is this going to be an issue? So I got to the counter, and it wasn't my regular postal person. It was like someone else, a younger person, so they wouldn't have the experience. And I said, "This is gonna be a problem." They said, I don't know what you're talking about."
yeah,
She had no idea what
no,
was going on.
yeah,
So it's like, okay, it went through, no problem. And then yesterday I had to drop something else off, or the day before, and my regular Canada Post person was there, who knows me and I get along with well. And I asked her, and she said, "No, it's been horrible. We haven't gotten any information." And she was saying she's actually asked for information, and Canada Post has not been communicating. And since we last did within 24 hours, just like we said it was going to happen, everything changed, right? Because it's
yeah.
like
So
we were saying, they couldn't handle the volume of all these packages, checking all the packages if they're from China, charging the tariffs on all these China packages. They like, even USPS for 24, or not even 24 hours, but for a while they said we're not accepting any packages. And of course that created chaos at the border. So they've temporarily halted all that. Because like we said, they don't have the bureaucracy to handle it. So
well, I know I said that because I worked at Canada Customs in the post office of international mail incoming, and I knew they don't have the resources, the infrastructure,
yeah.
they don't have the personnel for that.
Oh, I
I
said that too.
so
Um,
so but that's 100% what we both said. That
yeah, we weren't the only ones. Like, it was just, you can't change on a dime like that for the border, right?
and on that note, I said I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to worry about it.
Right.
First of all, because I don't sell stuff from China other than those toy soldiers. So, but that's why I said I wouldn't worry about it, because I don't think it's manageable. I don't think it's feasible. My exact words is, they're going to actually end up missing the bigger problems, or bigger items, and fail to catch those for the 15, 20, $50 items.
Logically, I agree with you, and I always agreed with you. Logically, I'm just saying, at the time of last recording, they weren't using logic at that time.
Right. Yep. We both said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows, it could change again, because like just the other day, I think, was it yesterday, they announced tariffs on aluminum,
And steel.
and steel.
Which
And
he did. Well, I don't know if he did aluminum, but he did steel his first term, like
yeah, he did both. 10%.
10%.
Aluminum the first term, and it was on for a year.
Yeah.
Anyways, my point being, it's still changing every freaking day. It could still change tomorrow. We don't
Yeah.
know what the hell's going on.
But I personally was saying I'm not going to worry about it until it starts affecting me.
Well,
That's
and
all I
all I
was
was
saying.
saying is, it was affecting you if you were using a cross-border shipper on our last podcast, because they were turning the parcels around.
Right.
It
So that was
wasn't a
affecting it
theoretical
was
problem.
affecting other resellers, not
Yes,
you,
there's other people
meaning
than
me.
you out there, Scott,
Yeah,
including
so
me.
don't say it's affecting you. You can say it was affecting resellers,
Oh
and
my
I agree
god!
with that.
When I used to use you, it's the royal you. It's
Well,
everyone.
because it wasn't affecting every reseller. It definitely hadn't affected me at all. So it had affected some resellers.
There wasn't enough time to affect you, because with those
Right.
soldiers, right?
That's
They were
fine.
Chinese made, right?
Yep.
It wasn't in action long enough, but you know. Anyways, this
But
horse
I
is
also
dead on
said
the ground.
it isn't feasible, meaning like there's no way it could be in action long enough.
I'm not disagreeing with that part. I'm
Okay.
just saying what the situation was on the ground at that time of the podcast.
So would you agree with me
No,
that the fact that I decided not to stress over it until it starts to affect me was the right way to do it.
no,
Okay. So I just have stressed over it and shut my account
no.
down and everything.
You should have prepared to how to deal with it.
Okay. How would I prepare to deal with it, Carl? Tell
Learn
me.
the HS codes for your Chinese soldiers.
Do you know how long that would take to do?
5 seconds.
Yeah. So why
But you
would
still
I?
have to do it.
Okay. I know how to do it. I did research that part way
Oh, there
before
you
our
go.
conversation.
Oh, there you go.
In fact,
Perfect.
I think I might have discussed it on the channel or before because I watched Two Dogs Digs and I had a conversation about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to? Do you know how to find the HST codes?
Yeah, I look it up online.
Do you know Two Dogs Digs
I didn't
way?
watch it. I didn't watch it.
Oh,
I
well,
will
Two
watch
Dogs
it, but
Digs.
it wasn't relevant because it was so quick. I didn't even have to worry about it.
Oh, what? You didn't have to worry about it.
Well, because I didn't sell anything.
Is your head in the sand, Carl?
Oh, I put my head. That's my go-to for most things is head in the sand.
Oh, because that's what you said to me last week. Oh, you can't put your head in the sand. I never did. In fact, I think
It was so short though. The time period was like honestly, I don't even know what the situation is now because I think with the cross-border shippers, right? I
yeah.
think they're still requiring you to put in the HS codes. But I haven't used a cross-border shipper since this has changed. So I haven't looked. On
Well, I
eBay,
have.
I know there is a spot where you can put in that stuff, but it defaults to Canada, right?
Yeah.
And which is incorrect, but I don't even know if it really like because technically this rule's always applied, right? With having to put in the HS code and the origin. It's just that it's never been enforced.
Yeah.
It,
Well, I mean,
right?
most of what I ship through is Canada Post, and even that it says optional.
It
It
was
says
yeah.
optional, right? Like, so they don't even
Yeah.
require it. It's optional.
Well,
So,
it was until
how
that's
much
the problem
stuff
is
do
up
you?
in the
How
air.
many lines do you fill in that when it says optional? Boom!
Zero,
I'm
zero.
skipping.
I never do it. I never do anything on
Exactly. So I don't know. My point was, and I know you told me to read the comments, and I talked, and I read Dawn's comment, and I replied to her. So we'll get into it a little later. But it's just funny how everyone, like, she's thinking like you're thinking, oh, you need to stress about it. And I don't want to put words in her mouth because I'm actually going to read it. But my point was,
right.
I know about it. I know it could happen because I even said in the show that, I mean, you just have to pivot. You have to pivot to things that are thrown at you. And if pivoting means I have to go back to Toyota, I will. And then I even joked that, in fact, Toyota might not even be an option. Remember me saying all that in the show?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I know it's there. I'm not neglecting it, but I'm not going to worry about it when it's, I guess your term would have been, do you use the word fluid?
Yeah. The
It's
fluid
very
situation.
fluid,
Yeah.
right? So if everything's moving around all the time, I don't want to be wasting time redoing all my listings, unredoing all my
Oh,
listings.
I
I don't
never
want to
said
go through
that.
that. I don't want to go through that crap. I'm not shutting
Yeah.
my store down. I never
No,
did. I kept.
I'm not shutting it down either. Two Dogs Digs wanted to shut theirs down. I think they said they did. I said I'm not prepared to do that because
Yeah.
I don't think it's that like because the bottom line is you can deal with this, right? But the problem is we don't. It's so unclear what the proper answers were, right? Here's the thing we don't want. We don't want to ship a $200 thing made in China. It gets to the border. It gets across the border. It gets to the customer, and they say, "F you! I'm not paying another $50 in duties and stuff like that." And now you have a big problem, right? Like I don't want that, and
Well,
I'm sure no one wants that, right?
no, nobody wants that for sure. But if, like, I guess what I'm gonna say, I guess what I would say is, and maybe I'm gonna get heat on this too. But what I would say is, it's part of doing business. It's no different than getting scammed for something like that. Sure, it's gonna hurt, but if your store, if your business is going to flounder based on an item getting stuck because of the tariff thing, like that's a problem. Like if I lost a $200 item, it's going to bug me, but it's not going to like stop me from doing stuff. I even said if I have to deal with this 5 times a year or once a month, like I'm just going to chalk that up as doing business, right? That's way more than any scammer that I've ever dealt with, but it's something that like it ticks me off when I get stuff at the store stolen or broken. But
Yeah.
it doesn't stop me from selling there because over the long term,
Mm-hmm.
it's minimal. It's just, and that $200 item, how much do you really have invested? So it's not like you're losing $200. You're probably losing more in the shipping cost than what you paid for that item. In my case, it is, right? So it is what it is. But that hasn't even come into fruition yet. It's not even a blip on the radar. It's more of a brain tease thing than it is a practical thing.
Well, when you say worry, I'm not sure if that's the proper term of what we were doing.
That's the term I was given, and that's what I said. I'm not going to worry about it until it starts affecting me, and then I will pivot from there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about other people's opinions. It's like it wasn't a worry thing, it was a bureaucratic thing. How do we deal with this properly, right? And that how to deal with this properly has been fluid, has changed. And I don't even know the current situation is, right? I don't even know, like if I go to Canada Post, right? And I just take the default for eBay labels, which is origin Canada, and I ship it across the border. I don't even know, like I know properly you're supposed to put in origin of wherever it's actually from. Like if you were, like you said, it was optional, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the situation is anymore because it changes so much. And even when I talk to Canada Post, at least the counter person, who is very knowledgeable by the way, and did try to figure it out, doesn't know what the current situation is. That's how much it changes day by day, right?
So would you say me not doing anything but just going with the status quo, just continuing the way I did things, was right or wrong?
That's a good question, because now the answer is, because we're looking at it knowing that what happened in the future, right? At the time, we didn't know that.
Okay. So knowing what you know now, the way I dealt with it was probably correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we didn't know the future. Like I said, if you can predict the future, you let me know.
I can't predict the future, right. But I think you and I hashed out our opinions on why this wouldn't work. And I think you have to come up with the most logical conclusion and base your decision making based on that. Like if I'm going to go fishing, if I'm going to go fishing and I know fish live in water, I'm not going to go to the mud puddle at the end of the street. I'm going to analyze where the fish are most likely to
but you're putting down logical thinking on something that was illogical in the first place. But was the reality on the ground? But it was the reality on the ground.
It was illogical.
It was illogical, but that was what was happening when we talked.
Okay, I never doubted that it was happening.
Right.
But I just said it isn't something that is sustainable.
You and I agree with that. And I agree with that. I agree.
You said it and I said it. We both said it.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I felt the best course of action for me is to not worry about it, not do nothing until it starts affecting me.
Hey, and that's fine for you. I'm just saying other people who exist had their stuff turned around at the border. I don't even know if it affected Dom, but it happened to people. It's not like a theoretical problem. It was a real problem. And you can see all the emails of all the places getting their stuff turned back at the border, and all the cross-border shippers, which a lot of Canadians use. You don't use because you don't really have access to it easily. But a lot of Canadians do use that. And it was a problem for 24 hours at least. And even actually might still be in effect. It's just I haven't used one.
So without disputing the fact, because I never did dispute that it wasn't a problem for some people, I totally agreed. But I said, looking around the room, I don't really sell, other than toy soldiers, I don't sell anything from China. Well, so let me rephrase the question. All right.
I said look at the comments because everyone was agreeing with me, and I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah. Well, now I'm gonna turn the tides here.
All right.
So
Denial.
so if people drive big trucks are having their trucks stolen and you drive a car that doesn't get stolen, are you going to worry about your car getting stolen because big
No,
trucks are
but
getting
this is
stolen?
a podcast, and in
No,
this
no, no, no.
podcast, we
Listen,
talk to
listen,
lots of people, just
listen,
not you and me.
listen. So what I'm saying, just answer the question. If big trucks were getting stolen, but
No,
cars were not getting
no,
stolen and you drove a car, would you worry about your car getting stolen?
no.
Exactly.
Okay, so
So,
that's a random truth. Is the
yeah,
sky blue? Is the sky blue?
dude,
Yes.
it's no more random than
Then
what
there's
I
another
was given.
factoid. Should we do
I'm
more of
not
them?
going to
One
worry
plus
about
one
it.
equals two.
I'm not going to worry about it because the majority of what
Right.
I sell is not from
Except
China.
for the toy soldiers you've talked about every episode for 6 months.
Dude, but if I had to sell those toy soldiers a different way, I've made my money back
Right.
and more. So I could take every one of those toy soldiers, which is probably about 1,200, and sell them for 30 to $50 and they would blow out at the store. The problem with doing that is there's some in there worth $100 to $300. So that would be stupid to do. But if I had to, that's what I would do. Right? I would pivot when I need to, but I'm not going to like, oh my God, I got to get all these toy soldiers into my booth and get rid of them because they might get stopped at the
Yeah.
border. And then I sell them all off to some guy for $25 a piece
I-
just to get rid of them because I can't sell them across the border. And then the next day they say, you know what? You can sell them across the border now. Well, that would be dumb. That would
I
be
agree. And I never advocated that.
Well, that's all I said. I'm not going to worry about it until it starts affecting me, and then I'll pivot from there. Those are my exact
Okay.
words.
Okay.
In
Hey,
fact, I
man.
even said that if people are getting dinged for selling stuff that is made in China, there's a lot of stuff out there that they can pivot and they can start buying stuff that was made in the USA, Canada. There's tons of stuff made in Canada, the vintage stuff, and England and Germany. I said, if you start selling those things, then you don't have to worry about the China label.
Oh,
Those are my
there you
exact
go.
words.
So easy.
Dude,
This guy
it
comes with
is.
toys. I got this toy right here. I showed you. This is a blank. This is $400 to $600 for this stupid toy. It's made in China. So yes, it would affect me.
Okay, so let me put it another way. You said water filters. Let's sell water filters. And then what happened to the water filters? You got zeroed. So what did you do? Did you stop buying water filters? No.
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
you
no,
said you did it.
I sold one on Facebook, but Facebook's
Yeah.
such a pain in the ass.
You
So
said if you still see
I
them
walk
cheap
by
enough,
them.
you said
I
you
walk-
still see them cheap enough, you're going to buy them and you will sell them on Facebook.
Well, I'll buy them, but they might sit around because I don't want to.
But you've pivoted from how you sold them on eBay because you couldn't do that anymore. That's all I'm saying, Carl. That's all I've ever said.
Right.
I'm not saying I think Trump's doing the right thing. I never said it's not going to affect anyone. All I ever said was it doesn't affect. Water filters do not affect me because I don't buy them. I don't look for them. I don't think I've ever seen them, and I just don't buy them. It's not my thing. So they don't affect me. Does that mean I should worry about everyone else that's been zeroed? Like, no, dude, I'm not going to. I'm not worried about it. That's all I ever said. That's all I ever said. I did say this. I said the thing that concerns me more than anything is how people perceive it in the US. That's my more concern because it could become an issue with them over time, right? If this went into effect for, I don't know, 6 months, 3 months, it may affect.
That's a good point. Because
my main, and I think this goes for all of us, we've all said this as Canadians, my main buyer is probably 85% American.
Yeah.
So if this becomes more of a mental issue, like in that, I shouldn't say mental issue because that's going to sound bad, but more of a psychological thing than a practical thing to them, that bugs me more. But I haven't seen that yet either.
It's too early. Like
it's too early for that.
You're right, because like it could become that the Americans don't want to buy from us no matter what. They don't care what the origin is. They don't want to worry about it at all.
Right. And I said that bugs me more than anything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that being said, I I know we're going to get hammered later on, so I want to just kind of feed everybody what I was actually saying. And you can go back and check this out on the previous show. If you need to listen to it again, that's my exact words. I can't change it. It is what it is. So, but second of all, I never said it wasn't real. I'm sure it's real for people. It's just not real for me at this point. So I think your words were, Scott, you can live with your head in the sand. Well, I'm not. Nothing's around me is happening
You know what's going to happen,
negatively.
everyone? Is they're going to change this, and then one day he's going to come on here bitching.
Yeah,
And,
but dude, I didn't say it couldn't. What I said is, and this is the thing, like you
oh no,
throw
I feel
these
fair.
digs in that don't really make sense. I never said it couldn't happen to me. I said
Right.
until it does,
It just
until
doesn't
it does,
exist. Right.
I'm no see that is
I can't help myself, everyone. Sorry. For those who
no
listen, I'm very
like
sorry. I'm gonna not provoke him anymore. I'm just gonna let him
there's no provoking. It's just illogical. It doesn't make sense what you're saying. It's like you got a green shirt on, and until you put a brown shirt on or a gray shirt, I'm not talking anymore. Well, this is gray. Well, then it just it completely changes the narrative. Like it changes to nonsensical. That's not what I'm saying. It does exist for some people, but it doesn't affect me. Just like a stolen big truck doesn't affect you because you don't drive trucks, right? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't affect me. So why would I worry about it? I'm not worried about it. If it starts psychologically affecting sales because of the US, then I'll have to change my way of thinking about how I'm selling. I'm going to have to, maybe, like I said before, maybe I'll have to go back to Toyota. If it's around, I don't know. Oh, Carl, before I forget, I was almost going to ask, I don't even want to go any further. I want to just tell you something.
Okay.
Okay. So I think you got to, okay. Remember this? Remember what was my bolo last week?
Oh crap. I don't even remember my
Like
bolo last week.
catalog, magazine
Oh
catalogs.
yeah.
And remember that tool that has it?
Yeah, that has it. Yeah.
Well, how much do you think I just sold this? I listed it yesterday.
Oh, that's a
How much do
beautiful
you think I
thing.
sold it for?
200?
Higher,
300?
higher.
Oh, screw you. 400.
$345
Oh, you bastard.
in less than. Remember, I said I was in less
And
than
and, and for
in
people
less
who
than
can't
12 hours.
see,
In less than 12 hours.
in 12 hours, and for people who can't see, this is not a huge manual either. This is like the size of your palm kind of thing, maybe
Yeah, it's kind of like if you put
size of your hand.
two cell phones side by side. It's kind
Yeah.
of that wide and that high.
Wow.
Maybe a little smaller, but kind of give you an idea.
That blue is going to be burned into my head forever. The blue of that
A
tool, because even
screwdriver.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's the Hezit because the wrenches aren't blue, but they're if they have Hezit on it, dude. I was looking through that catalog.
yeah,
There's on rollers. There's like metal. It would be shelves that you would put at different levels, so it
yeah,
would be on a rolling kind of cart. So that's what it is a cart. But it had that same blue. But anything has it. There could be a saw, it could be a hammer, but it'll have Hezit on it.
yeah,
Huge bolo, huge. But I sold that catalog. Now I did some research on it. I couldn't find it anywhere, but I got into one of those forums that talk about Hezit tools, and someone had that same catalog, same number, and everything. It ends up to be 1954, 1955 catalog, and the one guy says, "I'll sell you mine for 400." So that's where I kind of got my price idea.
yeah,
So they're US. So that was 400 US, but mine was missing and I fully disclosed it. It was
yeah,
missing about a dozen pages throughout. The first two and then there with like I counted every single one. So I put what pages were missing. So and like so that's an individual page, but there's actually a number on one side and another page number on the other. So it's actually missing a little bit more. Um but there's lots of pages. I mean, there's I don't know, probably 200-300 pages. But anyway, so within there was some missing pages and the damage. So I thought, you know what? I'll start at 350. I think I told you last week that I'm going to ask 300 for it, but
mm,
I went up higher and 345, and yeah, within 12 hours it sold.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yay.
So I was pretty happy with that. Yeah. So that's going to go out today. $345.
Nice.
That was in that book lot
Yeah.
that I've already made my money back on. That I put a lot of books are selling out of the booth. Like I sold. Yeesh. So okay. So Saturday or Sunday, one of the days I sold 10, and the other day I sold like 6 to 8 or something like that. So just in 2 days, I'm selling books, and some are going for $40, $30. A lot of them are in the $10 range, but some are as low as $5. I think the lowest number I put on my books is $5. Unless it's a kid's book and there's maybe like 4 or 5 of them, I'll put $3 each. But people usually come in and grab all of them because they're like a series. But if they just wanted one, I just put $3. Because if I don't put $3 on one, I sell them as someone's going to come in. Well, how much just for this one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so that's how I run it. But for everything else here, I'm putting 5 to 10 on most of them, but some getting to 30. I even have a couple in the booth that are $100, but they're older specialty car manuals. So,
Wow. Okay.
but this one was a tool manual for cars for the Volkswagen, and I think they even run into Porsche crossover, Porsche Beetle, that kind of thing. So, but very Bolo tool has it. German made.
Nice.
So they're probably not a lot. Like I'm sure it's a rare thing, but you know
Yeah,
what?
like I talked to the tool guy, and he hadn't heard of it, and he's the
Yeah.
tool guy, so
Yeah.
it must not be very common. But
He's gonna know it now. I'll tell you.
Well,
So also so there was a bunch of tools that I bought. I don't want to jump around too much here, but it was pretty exciting. So I went through the toolbox and I found, I'm going to say roughly about 25 sockets from Snap-on. So I put them in 2 lots. I bagged them up, put them in 2 lots, and I set them in the booth. One's for $100 and one's for $60. The $100 one is the bigger sockets. If they don't sell there, I'm going to sell them probably individually online, but I think they will sell there. We have a lot of tool guys come in there. So this could have been a great score. I mean, already I'm in the profits. So it's just, I mean, that book was bonus, but it was a lot of work too, bud. Like carrying all those books, that's like 3 trips. Like it's a lot of work, right? So
my back hurts just thinking of it.
Yeah. It's kind of and you know, I'm sitting there. I'm on my last day, and I got about, I don't know, probably these are full boxes of books, and I probably got 10 in the truck, and I probably have about 6 boxes left to pick up upstairs. And I'm talking a Victorian home that's 3 levels high, and they're at the very top, and I'm like,
yeah.
So I've got all of these steps and all the way down, and so this guy's there to pick up a dresser, and it's on the middle level, right? And he goes, they asked me the one guy's got a sore back, and they asked me to come and ask you if you would help me carry this dresser down. I'm like, buddy, I just carried 10 boxes of books to my truck. I said, how long is this going to take? He goes, oh, it'll be quick. So,
oh my God. Yeah.
So I'm like helping him take this stupid dresser down this narrow steps. It's like just insane. But anyway, I helped him out. So he offered to help me out, but after that, but I said no, because I just want to deal with my books. You know what I mean? Yeah. I like kind of looking through, seeing what I'm carrying, you know, that kind of thing. I'm kind of picky that way, but anyway, that's how it went. So anyway, everything's good, man. Everything is good. It's positive. I can't complain. Yeah. So we'll just see how it goes. If it changes for whatever reason, I'll just pivot from there. I'm not gonna stress. I'm not gonna stress.
Good. I'm glad.
Right? Yeah.
So do you hear an asteroid is going to hit Earth?
Well, you took a break to go check your parcel delivery, and I went outside and I saw the sky was falling. But anyway,
do you hear about that? I'm not even joking.
That?
The asteroid? I'm not even joking.
Yeah, but that's not till 2036, dude. I don't know if I'll be here another 5 years, let alone that long. That's like 11 years away.
It was just funny.
Yeah. Hey, dude, Terminator was 2029.
Uh-oh.
Right? So
coming out quick.
It's coming up quick. 2029. Oh, then we don't want to get into the AI discussion. That's
No, that's enough of this. I haven't even talked about my week yet.
Carl's going to be an alcoholic here. He's going to be
Oh,
sipping, well, Canadian whiskey.
yeah. Yes.
All right,
yes.
bud. How was your week?
It was okay.
I want to know how the booth went. You got it expanded. How's
Okay,
that
so yeah, this weekend got expanded. Speaking of carrying stuff, there's a middle barrier like between the two booths. But I talked to the owner and he says, "Oh, you can just put it over here, like upstairs and around a bend." It's like, and it was the barrier is big, eh? And I looked around me and no one can move this. Everyone has bad backs. There was like 155, and it's like, oh crap! I get like, so what I did is I just pushed it against the wall and you can't even tell. Like it's all secured there, so it was good. But we anyways doubled it, and then my the guy I'm selling commissioning, right?
Yeah.
He came in. He could have helped me, but I wasn't sure when he was going to show up. And anyways, he showed up and we spent the entire, I would say, good 2 to 3 hours rearranging and setting up the expanded booth. And it's funny. Every time you do that, people come in right in the middle of where you're moving stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And start poking around, right?
Yeah.
The sales were good, like not huge, but like half the time, we're kind of out of commission. And the nice thing with the double booth isn't even the increase in sales, it's the increase in action, if you know what I mean. There's more sales because there's more stuff, which means there's less me just sitting around time.
Yep.
Which is really good.
Sure.
But so we doubled it up. So I'm at 20 by 10 now, so 20 wide, 10 deep. And the nice, and someone was saying, like, everyone else around me were a little jealous because I was rearranging stuff, right? And just like action was happening. And when you'd be sitting around and not much action's happening, is like any other action's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So I had all that. My buddy, he brought in a huge clothing rack, a spinning rack with shirts and stuff like that, and band shirts and rock shirts and sports jackets and stuff. So we got all his stuff in, rearranged. So now I have two big 6 by 3 feet or 4 feet tables in the middle. And it's funny how whenever you move stuff, it just sells. So I just sold so much stuff that I've had since like day one and no one looked at, and I just moved it and it sold. It's just funny how that happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's scary how that happens. Like it's almost like the woo-woo conspiracy starts coming out.
Exactly.
Right?
Like this micrometer I've had and no one's even looked at.
Yeah.
I had like 5 people looking at it that day when I just moved it out of the way onto one of the tables, and then someone bought it.
Yeah.
And it's been there since September and no one's even looked at it.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
It is fun.
Well, you were kind of saying how you're busy because you're moving stuff, and that's when people start coming in, and like there's a great way to chase them out. Can I help you? What can I help you with? You looking for something?
Oh God, I hate that. I hate when people do that to me. Eh?
I know. We talked about that last week.
Yeah. So my friend stayed for almost until 3:00.
Oh, okay.
Just hanging out, which was really nice. I offered him I said, hey, if you ever want to be here on a Sunday, so I don't have to come in, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah. That would be a great thing if you could alternate, right?
Well, he did offer to pay for half the booth. And I said no.
Yeah, because then again, it becomes
a partnership, and I don't want a partnership.
Well, you're just back down to one booth then.
In a way. And then it becomes much more of like right now, I have no problem doing what I want, right? Like if I said he could have like one wall, and he has one wall and a bit. And to be honest, I took part of that wall for myself too. Yeah. So it's not like I'm like, you have to take X amount of square feet, blah blah blah. Right? It's not like that.
No, but it's you looked forward for so long to expand your booth. You were disappointed you were moved where you were because you might not get that opportunity. Now that you got the opportunity, you don't want to give it away, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So. But don't get me wrong, this is great. Like his sales more than often are paying for my rent.
Yeah.
And
so I was just gonna say, and I hate interrupting Carl because I thought you were pausing because you were done that comment, but I was just gonna say it's a great opportunity to kind of learn what sells when somebody
Yes.
else, right?
Yes. And he's
Yeah.
experienced. He has
Yeah.
40 years of experience, like
Yeah.
not even kidding.
Yeah.
He's done he's done flea markets, he's done antique malls, he's done everything. He sells it all, like the whole gamut. He's done it, right?
Yeah.
And he has experience, but he also has experience with pricing. So and what's really nice is he's very honest about what he thinks I should price stuff at. He says, Carl, you do what you want.
Yeah.
Right. But he said, this is why I think this will actually move at. And so that's been helpful, but also helpful seeing what he's selling. Like, so I know concert t-shirts sell, right? I
Yeah.
know records sell,
But where are you
right?
going to find them all consistently?
Of good stuff.
Yes.
And he has a big backlog of really good, like really good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And
He doesn't sell on eBay, obviously.
no, he actually doesn't.
You know,
I was thinking
because
about that for a second.
he wouldn't have this backlog if he did. If he's got good stuff, it would sell on eBay.
Yeah, no, he often sells to other resellers too, I think a little bit, but not so much. I know he has other contacts where he will give them other stuff to sell too.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's become a good friend, and he hung out and kept me company and stuff. That was good. So we were exhausted though, because he was bringing in inventory. We're set up shelving. We're doing all this stuff, and I had already been doing it for a couple of hours before he even showed up. So it's good. And in we had to pause the podcast because I got a delivery. And what I want, and I've wanted this forever, is I want a spot where I can sit that's kind of separated from the booth,
Yeah.
where I can do work, and it's obvious that I'm the booth owner.
Yeah.
And I don't mind sacrificing some booth footage
Yeah.
to do that.
Right.
So I just picked up an L desk,
Okay.
which is just like it sounds like, it's an L desk, like an L, and
Yeah.
it's pretty open. So it's not like it's not like a traditional computer desk. It's kind of have it's whatever. It's an L, and that will be perfect because that will give me an obvious area where I can sit and not be awkward, and then I can have a tabletop where I can actually do some stuff. So I got that just delivered. I wasn't expecting that for another 2 weeks, so I'll set up that on the weekend. So there's that. So that's good. The only other thing I kind of like is I'm not quite sure is like this concrete floors there.
Yeah.
It's not exactly welcoming. So I wouldn't mind like some really thin kind of runners for carpets. But then I'm always worried that people don't want to stand on carpets and don't want to come in, even though that's what they're really for. So I'm quite scared of that.
Honestly, my experience is when I've gone before to estates and I've picked up older carpets, people end up wanting to buy those carpets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're talking about like a carpet you would have got in the estate or something like that, or an auction or something. But if it's got some age to it, maybe a funky design, like I remember one we had, bears was like knitted, like it was like almost like a hook rug, but it was there was bears in the design. It was actually a nice rug, but somebody ended up paying like $80 for it or something, and it was just laid out for people to walk on. And I bought one now, and it's kind of like it's a hook rug, and sometimes people will use hook, like learn hook rugs, but like folk art hooked rugs, that could be a pull on itself. But some of those hooked rugs can go for crazy money, crazy money. Sayaj would know about hook rugs being Quebec, because probably some of the best come out of Quebec, to be honest. But they'll have scenes on them and different things like. But this one that I got now is it's got maple leafs in it, and it's an older. It's at least 1970s, but it could be 1950s, right? But it's in pretty decent shape, and some of them can have issues on the edge too. I'm not trying to make this a bolo because that's not my bolo today, but I'm just saying that hooked rugs, interesting. So anyway, I don't know what kind of rug did you put down?
Oh, I want to. If I rarely see them, to be honest, at auctions or at thrift stores or anything. I rarely see rugs. I just want a thin, nice rug to make it more homely. Homely, is that right? Warm.
Homey. Homey.
Homey.
Yeah.
Homey.
Yeah.
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 So I want to put some down because it's all concrete and I
Yeah.
want things to look nice because I honestly do think that if you display nicely,
Yeah.
as long as you have the inventory, you don't want to display nicely and have no inventory because I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But I kind of want things to look nice because I do find it does attract people when things look better rather than just like dumped out like a garage sale. Not everyone's going to be attracted by that, but there is a clientele that is attracted by that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. So I guess this weekend I'll be quickly putting together that L desk. So my construction day is not over. But once that's in, I should be, you know, pretty good setup again. So I'm happy about that. I had the opposite of a FOMO. So there was an auction on Saturday, and I just was not in the mood, dude, to go out to this auction. I saw postcards. I love postcards. I didn't go. And I thought, well, what could I miss? And then I talked to my friend, and he went to it. He said, "Oh man, it was so good." He says there's like old comic books going for nothing, tons of
Oh, that's not
postcards,
postcards. What the
Star
heck?
Wars postcards going for nothing, Star Wars figures. It's like, oh man. So what's FOMO for when you actually did miss out?
What's what? Sorry.
What FOMO, fear of missing out, but in this case,
Oh,
I
okay.
actually did miss out.
Yeah, I didn't know what FOMO means. So what it would be my fear of missing out?
What's the term if you actually did miss out? Regret?
Yeah, regret is a big one.
Oh man, I should have gone.
Depression. Like,
I should have gone, but I just was not in the proper frame of mind to go. To be honest,
well, postcards. Like you talked to me briefly. We talked. I think we discussed this. I don't know if it was last week or over the phone or something, but you said there was a postcard thing coming up, and I think our conversation was like the problem if it's just postcards and it's out there, then you're going to have to compete against a lot of postcard guys,
yeah,
right?
but I
Because
think
they're going to all show up to that for postcards. But my rule of thumb, and I've said this many times, if there's other stuff, but most of it is postcards, like say there's a collector, it's an estate sale, but he was a collector of postcards, get in there for the other stuff because everyone's going to beat each other up over postcards, and then you can swoop down and get maybe some comics or whatever. But it
yeah,
sounds like you're saying that even the postcards went very cheap.
even the postcards went cheap.
So
And I, they can be good. I sold a postcard just yesterday or a couple of days ago for 20 American. So what
nice.
is that? 25 Canadian for one postcard.
Maybe $100 right now. What's our dollar?
Yeah.
I don't know. 67 cents. I don't know.
So it's great. There is good ones out there. So, but
Yeah.
anyways, so I missed out. But the one good thing is I actually cleaned up my area now because I moved. Let's be honest, by getting that extra footage, I also was able to move a lot of stuff there.
Yeah.
And now I can see my floor again, which is kind of nice.
Yeah. A rug does really enhance the look of it. I like it when I put like a rug or something down too. But I always found that, I get this old rug on an estate and I'm like, because I'm not going to go buy a rug, right? But if I have something, if I had something already, I'll throw it down and then people end up wanting to buy it. So.
Yeah. And I want one of those, like the super thin ones too, like the one with a lot of wear.
Yeah.
I don't want a plushy thing.
Just, I'm going to say this. Just on the insurance side of things, be careful you don't have something that someone could trip over.
Yeah, well, there's that too.
Right? Because then if they slip and fall, you'll probably be liable, right? Like, so be careful of that.
Hopefully not one without frills either. But this is not a high priority for me. This is if I happen to come across it, then maybe I'll like a runner, the long, thin ones.
Yeah.
Maybe and it's cheap, then I'll try it. Because I think it, like I said, it will, because right now it's concrete floors, gray conflict floors, plastic shelving. It's not the most beautiful thing in the world. And that's my next goal after putting this L desk together on the weekend. What else happened? Oh, I got my Temu stuff. It was a bunch of garbage. So half of it, like I got these coin displays.
Yeah.
The coins rattle around in the display.
Oh, no.
So it's just too wide. Like a loonie is great because it's like firm in there, but a quarter, it's too wide for that. So that's okay. I already spent a few bucks on this stuff.
Yeah. So they're still sellable. It's just they're going to have to be picky. Like they're just going to have to be knowledgeable that it doesn't fit all coins. It'll only fit some of the coins. Is that right?
Yeah, so I put it like a loonie in and a quarter.
Yeah,
And when I sell stuff, I'm very honest there, right? Like
of course. You want
I'll
them to come
you know
back.
that I showed you a fire helmet with a cool top, right? I sold it to a guy,
Yeah,
and he's another dealer, and he gave me, I don't know, it was 15 or $20. Good enough. And he took off, and it's like, oh wait, that's damaged. I ran after him. I said, oh, that's damaged. He said, oh, thanks, but I don't care. So
yeah. He's gonna
I'm very
he's gonna take that crest off it and sell that online for
this guy
probably
definitely won't. This
no.
that hat is going in a pile.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah. He's a great guy, but he's a buyer, and selling is kind of a secondary
Right.
concern. But I think that was it. Like, it was a good week. Nothing too exciting. Online, I've sold a few things, but nothing. Oh, yeah. Okay. One last thing. We're already an hour in, but this happens to me a lot. A local buyer buys. They want to do local pickup. And then they send you messages saying, oh, do you want to save the fees? You want to save the fees? Let's just meet up. Here's my number. Look, my name. Look me up. They're trying to get around eBay, right?
Right.
And I always just say you have to buy it on eBay. And they seem to think I don't get what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
And they try. And this is another one of those things that happens. Like, dude, I'm not like it was a $20 thing. I'm not risking my account for $4 or $5 in fees. Number one. And number two, local pickup is more of a pain in the ass than it is for me to ship it to you.
Yeah.
Because we have to arrange for you to show up. I got to have it ready for you to show up. I have to prefer to be here.
Yeah.
And you're saving me $4. And I know what you want to do is you want to contact me. And then instead of paying $20, you want to pay 15 and say, well, I'm saving the fees. It's the same. So it's like, I'm thinking of saying for the future, no more local pickup. Just saying, no, I don't do that. Because this was the same thing. The guy was going back and forth. Like, I spent so much time talking to the guy saying, dude, like, pay for it. I'll refund your shipping once you pick it up. But the guy's like, no, you're paying 20% of fees, you're paying 20. It's like, dude, like, it's not, I didn't say this because I'm not going to communicate in this. But it's funny how these guys think you're going to sacrifice your entire eBay account for a few dollars in fees. Like,
yeah, I would never do that.
Never do that.
I turn off.
It's not on.
It's not. No,
it's not even on. No.
But the odd time I will get a message, and if they're close, I'll do it. So what I do is I tell them to meet me at the Waterford Antique Market when I'm going to be there. So I'll be at the Waterford Antique Market between this time and this time. Just ask for me at the front desk, and they'll tell you where to meet me. But I'm only there from this time to this time. So if you're there, then fine. If not, then
just be careful with that, because I'm not saying it's going to happen.
No. It all goes through eBay.
Oh, they bought it through eBay.
They buy it through eBay, but I will do.
Yeah,
I will do local pickup. I will never do anything outside of eBay at all.
No, exactly.
It's not worth that.
Not worth it.
But they get the old QR code, and I pull my phone over it from the app, and then eBay does all the transactions like successful and all this kind of stuff. So I'll do that. I don't. I say this, but on 2 occasions I did have them come to the house. Now, if they see something at the house or they see something at my antique store, then if they want to buy something there that's not on eBay, or they'll buy something from the house that is different from what they're asking about, then those options are available.
Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
But whatever they message me about, that goes through eBay.
Yeah, because eBay was involved. They deserve to get paid.
Yeah.
They did their bit.
Yeah. So I know when I sold the fireman's helmet for $300,
the
guy came here and he wanted to see more of the fireman stuff from that fireman, and he bought some other stuff.
Yeah, and that's allowed.
And that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Same thing with the other day, a guy messaged me about, I think it was a Star Wars figure or it was a He-Man figure, because he bought 2 different times. And both times we met at the Waterford Market, and both times he bought more stuff out of my booth.
Yep.
So it was a win-win.
Those contacts are really, important to
Yep.
have too.
Yep. So, very nice. Both times very nice. But I also met someone because I was on my way to Delhi. This person lived in Norwich, and I said, "Hey, I'm on my way to Delhi. If you want me, meet me at the Tim Hortons." Like, I hate meeting at Tim Hortons because Tim Hortons sucks. But anyway, no, actually, I live at Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy that sits in the parking lot. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I am the guy that's probably in the drive-thru 3 times a day. But every time I talk to you, Carl, I'm always going through the drive-thru.
I just remember I actually did do a local pickup at Tim Hortons once.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It worked out.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this guy worked out too, and he gave me a 5-star review. And he was actually a nice guy. He's from kind of the city way,
Yeah.
Oakville or something. But he moved to Norwich, which
Yeah.
is halfway between Delhi. Delhi's halfway between Norwich and Simcoe. But anyway, it's 10 minutes away. I was going there anyway, and he was there right on time. It turned out.
Oh
great.
yeah, like to be honest, it's always worked out, right?
Yeah.
It's just that it's always costly in terms of time. It always takes me at least an hour or two of meeting up, and the problem is for me, if someone's showing up at 2, I'll sit around all day waiting for 2:00 because they don't want to forget and
Oh,
stuff like
okay.
that. It just doesn't work well with the way
Right.
I work.
Yeah.
But it's like Facebook Marketplace. Some people love it, right?
Yeah.
So, by speaking of contacts, you know how you're bugging me about that private pick? Guess who contacted me that night through email?
Yeah.
So I did talk to her. And I said, and I've offered to go over.
Nice.
I offered. And she said, "Oh, I'm not ready. How about March?" And I said, "Hey, whenever you want, no pressure." So I'm off the hook.
2029.
I know, right? Exactly. Just for the
That doesn't count, Carl. 2029 doesn't count. You gotta no. That's good. I hope you score huge. I hope it's one of the best experiences of picking you've ever had.
Well, the nice thing is I have lots of room on the floor again.
Yeah, you got a whole booth. What are you talking about? Load up the truck. Load her up. Get an old U-Haul van and just load her up.
Right now, I'm doing the balance between bringing stuff and pricing it. Because if I don't price it, then I might sell it too cheap. Because I'm not thinking. So I prefer to price it here. But some stuff I just want to get there.
I find pricing it here, putting it in a box and preparing it for your next visit is the best, but it doesn't happen like that all the time. Sometimes it's just like you're just grabbing boxes.
You're just grabbing boxes. You're like just get it there and I'll price it there. But I really try to price stuff here.
Yeah, it is so much better if you can price it at home. For sure.
It is. Pressure either, right?
Yeah. But it doesn't always work that way for me. But it is definitely nicer for sure.
Like I brought some stuff in I had to check parts for, right? And now I got my desk. I'll have more room for that too. So, so that's about it for the week. It actually was a pretty busy week thinking about it, but
yeah. Well,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was so tired that Sunday night. I came home. I had right for the couch, and 2 hours I was dead to the world after that day. Woo. Well, for me, Sundays are exhausting. Like this last one's a little more physical.
Dude, you got the whole day. You're up early.
For me, it's mental as well, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm on all day, and which I really enjoy, but it does drain me. But hey, I enjoy it. I think it's really good for me mental wise as well, being out there and being social, like physically social, like with people in your face. Yeah. Online is great, but it does not equate to being there with people. So I think it's healthy for us, even if we don't always want to do it. So,
well, I just want to say I had some really neat sales too. Like I had a Bonaventure, which Royal Canadian Navy hat sell. We got 65 for that. More Toy Soldiers. I had it's the Ghostbusters ghost can.
Oh yeah. Right? That's a long-term thing now, eh?
I got $50 on that, and that was really cool. I think I got one more in the garage. That might have been my last one, but I honestly think I have one more. I sold a bunch of I sold other things too, but I'm just going through a few of the bigger ones. But remember those Warhammer magazines I got? They're actually booklets. Yeah. And I paid $50, and one I sold for $200. I still have the satchel and different things, but now I've pretty much sold all my Warhammer magazine things.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy bought 4. The last, I might have one left, but he bought 4 for $145.
Wow.
Like those, I got nothing in them. Toy soldiers were selling. This is another Bolo thing, but I'm not going to ever say this is a Bolo because it's a VHS tape, but it's on a local. It's a Blythe steam show. So Blythe it's not in Ontario. It's not. It's probably an hour from here, or hour and a half maybe, but it's on steam engines. It's on the old steam thing. So they had a show in Blythe. I don't know if it says what year in the title. I don't see that here, but it definitely would have showed it on there. But it's very niched. So I always look for those kind of things too. Even though it's VHS, it's on steam engines. So people would love to see it like a show from, I don't know, probably from the 90s. Sold some other things. I sold some more insoles, buddy.
Great.
I almost screwed up on one sale because thank God eBay puts that in highlighted red number 2 in the corner. Because I had one, I packaged it all up. I get here and I start filling out the thing.
Yes.
I see this red dot and I look and I'm like, oh my God, he bought 2 of them.
I know. That is so dangerous.
Right. So
because I have made that mistake by sending 1 instead of 4 or something insane.
Yeah. So I almost screwed up there. So there's 3.
I don't know how much
that would have
more
been bad screw ups. If I would have screwed up on that cat badge and the insoles, like that would have been 2 in a row.
I had a month of like screw ups like a month or 2 ago where I was just making mistakes left and right. Knock on wood, I haven't done any right now, but.
And I had some old undeveloped exposed film. Have you ever sold those?
No, I just throw them out, to be honest. Not old stuff, just new stuff.
I keep them, and this is Adam Shipping Vintage. He might have changed his for Shipping Vintage now. I don't know if he still has that YouTube. So I bought a bunch. I got a storage locker years ago, and I got all sorts of jewelry in there and toys. Remember that one? That was probably like 2
with the cars. Was there a lot of cars in that?
There was a lot of cars. A lot of cars.
Yeah.
Well, there was these. We're going back like 3 years ago, probably for this, but it was just sitting in a box in storage. There was 3, 8, 14, 19 rolls of film. So I put them in 4 different lots based on what the titles were on those little plastic tubes. So the exposed, undeveloped film would have been in these tube cases. And there was 3 of them that said Detroit 1998. And then there was other ones that just had different labels on them. So I tried to bunch them up in themes. And one person bought 1. And then the very next day, somebody came in that was different, bought the 3 remaining lots. So I got $200, just over $200, like $208 or something. If you combine the sale for all 4 lots, just on undeveloped, exposed, undeveloped mystery film rolls is how I labeled it.
Wow, I had no idea people would pay that much for that.
Yeah, and I almost messaged the guy and say, "Let me know what Detroit," because this guy has all the tubes were labeled Detroit 98 for 1998. So. Is it a car show? Like what was like? I almost want to know myself what was in there, right?
Well, that's part of the value, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So those were fun, and they sold very quickly. I might have listed them like definitely less than a month ago. Date sold was February 9th. Does it tell me what day? If I click on it, it should tell me what day I listed it, right? January 12th.
Oh, does it? Oh, I actually didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. So start date was January 12th. So just less than a month. I've had them listed. All 4 lots sold. And I sold a bowl, a Wedgwood bowl, and another insole. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I sold a vintage Yamaha. It's just a dealer brochure. I think it's from the 70s. It was on a Yamaha bike. And it's going to Czechoslovakia. No, the Czech.
Yeah.
They're a good hockey. They're a competitive hockey team nationally. Is it the Czechs? The Czechs, right?
Dude, you're asking me about. I'm a worse Canadian.
Okay, so I'm sure it's going overseas for sure. So I sent it without, like, it would cost me. I charged $25 because I was kind of thinking Germany would be about the same. I think it cost me $20 to send the same type of brochure to Germany. I sold a couple of them there. So for some reason, Czech came up and it it sold. I charged $25 for shipping, thinking it would be roughly the same, but it was going to cost me 45 with tracking.
No.
So what I did was I put it non-tracking for $11. So it's supposed to get there before the end of February, but there's no tracking. I have nothing into it other than the $11 shipping, right?
It's $25. If it doesn't make it, you'll be okay.
No, $25 for the shipping. The program was $25.
Yeah, I
So
know.
that's like $50 I charged them, right? Canadian.
Right. Yeah.
And I only cost me $11.12 or something like that. Right? So I'm either going to do very good or I'm going to do very badly. So it depends if I get noticed back or not. But yeah, it was pretty good. I sold some silhouette Victorian picture. They're not Victorian. They're more like probably 50s or 30 or 50s or 60s. But there's Victorian themed silhouette reverse paintings on convex glass. So I sold two different buyers, same day sales, but I sold a pair to one person and three in a lot, three to another. So I mean, sales have been pretty decent. So I can't.
And those are all nice values too. They're not like $10, $15 sales.
Yeah, and did you check out that catalog for the Hens tools? Did I talk about that? Oh, I talked about that.
We did talk about. Well, yeah, you mentioned it once or twice. Oh, look, and some toy soldiers sold as well.
Oh yeah, lots of toy soldiers.
Yeah, including one that's kind of funny.
The what one?
I think someone's missing something.
Oh, it's damaged. Yeah. So
still got $30 for it though.
I got 45.
Oh, I'm looking at a different one then.
The Indian like hurdling the fence one.
Oh, that one's 65. That one's pretty good. That one's damaged.
That one's damaged.
That one's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So I had one that I sold for 100 or 125. It was exactly the same, but it was not damaged. So this one was damaged, and sometimes these guys can fix them, right? They can repair them. So I put it up for that price. I think I put $64.95 and I settled for $49.95 or something like that.
It says full price here.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I got full price then. But I sold a pen nib, Pelican. I don't know if you can see that. That was like all within the last week, right? So,
fountain pen. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple other things. So since our last episode. So, and you know what? The booth is holding its own. There's some days that I'm like, oh my God, like that's horrible. And then there's other days that are pretty decent. So can't really complain there either. So although it's not like last year. And remember I was going to say this. Remember we talked last year about how the weather was so nice and that was bringing people out?
Yes.
I think it really made a difference. Like now we get in snow days and we're getting like more cold and the sales aren't nearly what they were last year. They're good. They're what's kind of expected, but last year was better than expected. And I've always said that right up to like September, but
especially like if you're in an area that's heavily dominated by what's going on, people might be holding back on their spending just to see what's going to happen too.
100%. It could be, who knows what really is the reason, but I do know that the weather is a lot different than last year. Last year
was colder for
sure. And there's snow and everything. I don't even know if we got snow last year, like really anything to really talk about. But
we literally have a huge storm coming in this afternoon.
Yes. Kind of late Wednesday, Wednesday evening into Thursday morning is what we're told. Okay.
Same with us.
And we're 8 hours away, so it can be different for sure. But
yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. Okay.
I like your naked Sono Bono doll.
Yeah, it's old, dude.
Hey,
I
25
think
bucks, 25 bucks.
$25 is $25. Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a toss in with a bunch of other stuff. So I don't even know if it would sell out of the booth. So I thought we'll put 24.95 and see what happens. But,
Yeah, it's interesting, you have always said when you're coming up with prices, part of the question is how much you have put into it, right?
oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I understand where you're coming from now because I hear my friends say the same thing. It's because you come from the antique market thing
Yeah.
world where that's much more relevant. And I remember I always said I care what it sells for, not what I paid for it, because in the eBay world, it's much more about what you can get, but in the booth world, it's much more about how fast can you get it back out of your booth
Yeah.
is a
Because
big
you don't
factor.
want it.
You don't want
It
to take
hurts
them.
to
Hey,
sit there and see that like
yeah.
every week, right?
So
So,
it makes so much more sense of perspective of that. And now I'm getting much better. Like I let a few things go the other day just to like, okay, I want it gone. I don't care what you're offering me almost.
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to see the end of it. Right.
Yeah.
But it feels so good. Like I sold a frame I pretty well got for free. And someone was going to make, I asked her because it was just an empty gilded frame for $10. It was big though. It was very large. And I said, "Oh, what are you going to?" I said, "Do you have a painting that's going to fit it?" And she says, "No, I'm going to use it for art." She's going to like put in a window and put like glass and stuff in between and say, "Oh, that's kind of cool." But I was like, "Oh, thank God I'm getting rid of this big frame that's a pain in the butt." So I had another piece, this I don't know, this advertising. I said, "Oh, do you want this?" She said, "No." It's like, oh, I was hoping to get rid of the other piece for free. So it's good just to get rid of some of the big stuff. But um also I can see the lazy appeal of putting things in the booth because I've been putting things on eBay and say, I'll just put this in the booth. I can't be bothered. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't go, I'll bring it home, put it on eBay. Like I put this no, what's it called? Accordion. And it sells for like 300, 350 online. But I can test it, but I don't know if it really works. And say, I'll just put it in the booth for 250.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it doesn't, like, I don't think anyone is going to give me 250 there for this like thing because it's a high end one.
Yeah.
But like the market for this is pretty damn small, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But my lazy part is like, if I don't put this in the booth, it's going to sit on my shelf for another year. So I'll put it in for the booth, see if I can flip it. And if I can't, then I'll put it online, right?
Or you can even test it and stuff while you're sitting there.
Well, God, yeah, I was going to make that joke when I go in. Hey, guess what I decided to learn this week? Do you want to hear how well I am to all the other booth owners?
Well, that's interesting with the frame and the art and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
that's
that's kind
good.
of neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's a mixed crowd that goes there. Like there is a lot of younger people who go as well.
Yeah. I mean,
It's not just like a bunch of old men for sure. It's
no,
not.
for sure. And a lot of, I find a lot of people with that artsy kind of mentality, like for younger kids, really find it interesting. They can see things that other people don't see, right? And I think honestly, for the most part, like you can be a collector of anything, but the old stuff is almost art in itself. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Just
Mm-hmm.
even the patina on some things can be considered art. You know, you put it in a spot and it's got that old corrosion or patina or that old like paint loss and that kind of stuff. Like that itself becomes art. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, maybe I'm being weird, but to
No,
me,
no, no, no. I talked
like
to her about that,
yeah,
And I said, "Oh, I wish I was artistic in this way, but I'm not." I said, "This is why I sell the stuff. It's like I can appreciate it, but I can't do it." Right? So,
like I know Steph. We went to an auction. She got a really nice cabinet, and it's old. And I've probably talked about this before, but it's kind of It's from Nova Scotia, and it's painted. And there's debate whether it's late 1700s or early 1800s, and there's reasons for it I won't get into. But anyway, it's definitely extremely old, and the paint is possibly original. Like it just the whole paint in itself is so old and peeled and roughed, and it sits in the corner. It looks like $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
just
it
pops
has
the
a
room.
certain aspect to it that is appealing to the eye,
Yeah.
like just
And
in the way it's
it kind
aged.
of doesn't sit straight. It kind of has a little
Yeah,
bit of a lean, and the
yeah.
cupboards are kind of, but it's not overbearing. It's just slightly a little bit, but with the patina and everything, it just really, I don't know. It
It
just
hits something in her brain. Yeah, it
yeah,
has a je ne
it
sais
does.
quoi. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's almost like folk arty in a way, which it probably could be considered that. It's probably handmade at home, like um, just because of the age and stuff. I
Hmm.
don't know for sure, but that's a lot of like Siraj would know this too. Is the folk art stuff, right? It just has some really crazy nice looks to it. Not everything, but a lot of it does,
Hmm.
and I understand that appeal, right? So
I would love to be able to develop that eye too. Like some people are so good at that. Like I've always said for Two Dogs Digs, Rick has that eye. He can spot the really interesting, valuable stuff without like with a kind of a natural skill. I'm not
yeah,
saying it's too, but he has much more of a natural skill at that than Craig does or I would have.
yeah.
Like I'm jealous of that, to be honest. But
And listen, there's sometimes
Mhm.
I pick up stuff that I think has this thing to it, and I'm like, how does that not sell? Like, how did it not sell? Like, this is
Amy,
amazing,
yeah,
you know?
Amy has a word for when I bring home something like she said, "Oh, that's totally your style," which
What
means
does
that it's
that
not going
mean?
to sell, and, and it's just like, yeah, not a good thing necessarily.
Yeah. Like you always question like people throw those comments. Like, is that a compliment or is
That was
that like
not
a
a compliment.
dig? That's your style. Okay, what's that mean?
So we're an hour and a half in.
All
Should we
right.
get to the next bit?
What's the next bit?
It's Bolo of the Week.
Bolo of the week. Yes, let's get into the bolo of the week. And go ahead, Carl. What's your bolo?
So I actually found one of my bolos I've looked for a long time. So, and I mentioned them briefly before about puzzles. And I found two Liberty puzzles this last week. And what they are is they're wooden puzzles. And so I thought, well, I'll do bolo for the puzzles because I have picked up puzzles before. And like the, if I like to keep the bolos simple because, you could say, well, get the special Star Wars puzzle that, they made 20 of, but I don't like that stuff. This is the common stuff. So the basic rule is if you see ones that are wooden, they generally can have more value. And what I like to do too is look up used values rather than new values. Now, the thing with puzzles is, like for example, Ravenburger, which is like the pretty common one.
Yeah.
I'll only pick up those if they're new. And the reason for that is the valuable ones for Ravenburger usually have 5,000 or more pieces. And there's no way. And like for puzzles, the count isn't necessarily the count of the puzzle pieces inside, it's an estimation. So you can't even just count the pieces, right? So for Ravensburger, if it's used, I might pick it up if it's cheap enough and it's like worth 100, 150 to 200 and just say selling as is because I have done that. But generally for Ravensburger, I'll just scan them if they're new and cheap enough. Like I bought some this week. They're $5, I think. I'll sell them in the booth for 25, maybe, and they're new. Probably not a good buy. But the ones I did pick up are called Liberty puzzles, and I picked up two for $5 from the same place. I think someone just got rid of their puzzle collection, and these are actually wooden pieces,
Oh, they're
and
wooden.
they're wooden pieces, yeah. And any wooden puzzle
Are they
is,
are they thick wooden or are they kind
yeah,
of the same thinness as?
no, they're pretty
Oh,
thick.
oh, okay.
These ones are thick at least, and any wooden puzzles are probably worth looking up. But the Liberty ones used sell for like 100 to 200 American each,
Okay.
right? Which is pretty good. Now they're used, so you have to decide how you're going to sell it, right?
Right.
And are you going to put it together? Because they're not easy to put together, right? So you have to, obviously with any puzzle, newer is better, but the ones I'm talking about are all used and all wooden puzzles. So another brand is Stave, Stave. They sell for about 100 to $600 each, used. Artifact, 40 to $100 American. PAR, $100 plus for wooden ones. And you have to make your own choice. Like, how are you going to sell these things if you're going to pick them up? But the nice thing about the Liberty ones I picked up this week is the boxes are very obvious, so they stand out. They have a blue background and the pictures on the inside. So I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this. I'm thinking of like telling my mother-in-law, "Hey, if you put this together, I'll give you $40."
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like she likes puzzles. I don't want to do these puzzles.
What's that? $2 an hour? What she times?
Well, don't put it that way. It's like any job you do, make a fixed cost and sounds great, right? So I haven't quite decided. But yeah, puzzles.
Nice. Yeah, I'll I'll look for those liberties now. I didn't know about them. I think puzzles to me are pretty much so far have to have been sealed and kind of have to have like a really interesting topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I found fantasy ones to kind of do okay and that kind of stuff, but
Mm.
I'll look for the wooden ones. Like that's
Yeah, they're rare, but they're out there. Also
yeah.
round ones. If you see round ones, they can be good money. The 3D puzzle ones, if have you seen the 3D ones where you like, I don't know, you make like there's
Like a
literally
big-
the twin towers you can pick
yeah,
up for
yeah,
those.
yeah.
Those I'll just pick up sealed. I won't touch those if they're not sealed because there's no
Okay.
way I'm putting one of those together.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah.
I think I have one of like a Star Wars ship or something, but it's opened. I just haven't got to it because it's opened and I probably never will.
Yeah.
Right?
I probably wouldn't pick up those again because it's like I could see myself like we do puzzles once in a blue moon here. I could see like the wooden ones are supposedly hard, like they're not easy either. So it's not
Yeah.
like a quick thing to do.
So you can say they're complete, and then by the time they actually put it together and find out that it's not, it's too late.
Oh
Is that what you're
God, I hate when people. I've heard other resellers say that for board games, say that they're complete, and they said they don't check. I think that is so unethical.
I totally check. I totally check.
Like to me, that's what gives us all a bad name.
Especially
Like,
board games. And like I said, with
no.
puzzles, it's always been sealed anyway. So
The only thing with board games is I might not count all the money. Like I'll make sure all the currencies are there, but like I don't necessarily count all the bills in the
yeah,
money.
yeah,
But like there's so much, it's not an
yeah.
issue. But the rest, yeah, no, I count. That makes me upset because I had heard other people say, "Oh, I just say it's complete, and if they want to, they can return it." It's
Well,
like,
what happens
no, that's
is,
not the way this
okay,
works.
you get away with it at that point, but then someone ends up, okay, I'm not buying from eBay anymore.
Exactly.
Right. So it
Or
does
you just feel
long-term
bad about
damage.
yourself, right? We're not here to rip people off.
No. And you're only ripping yourself off really in the long run. Like I've always said, I've said this before, I don't care how many people sell on eBay, just represent it like you're representing everyone else. You know what I mean? So do a good job and don't try to scam people. Like you're here to represent. So that's more important than how many actually sell on eBay in my mind. So
Exactly.
well, interesting bolo. I have a bolo that you're gonna say, that's not realistic. Nobody will ever find that. But I found them. I have found them because I know to look for them. And I bet you Carver Man knows about them. Carver Man Sayage. These are going to be, they're called, I have one in my booth right now, and I gave another one to my uncle because he's into Native American stuff. But these are crooked knives. Have you ever heard of a crooked knife?
No.
Okay. So these are crooked knives. They're going to look beat up in a lot of ways. They could look kind of like weird, like homemade, because they technically are. But these are what they would use to carve stuff out of. So what gives you value here is the design of the handle and what kind of carving it is. Also age. There could be other things too, but those are primarily how I've been told to value them is going to be the handle and how it's carved. Now, most of them are going to be around $100 to 200, maybe 300, but some do get into the thousands. And I don't think there's really a written rule on. It's one of those things that you can ask 3,000 for all of them, but very rare is one going to sell for 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000. It's kind of up to the buyer type thing. You know what I mean? Whether they're willing to pay that for the rarity. But like I know my uncle has one that I don't know the exact value, but it's one of his prized ones, and it's in the carving of a fist, and it's really well carved.
So
And
are these old? Or are they new? Or like, can you
they're
describe it a
old.
bit?
For the most part, they're going to be old for sure. Like the one I have in my booth right now is the handle is an antler horn.
It's called a
Most of
crooked
them are
knife,
wood, but they
right?
can be antler horned. They could, So what they did is they actually took straight razors,
Oh,
the
okay.
old straight razors.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about now. Because there's
So
ones that are kind of like,
they would have taken those from trade with Europeans that came over here, and they would have been part of a trade thing, and they would have taken the plastic or the handles off them and put like they would have made their own handle and attached it to them. So a lot of these things are just going to be those straight razor blades.
so they're
And
not folding knives, eh? Because I see crooked, when I look up
oh
crooked
no,
blades on
no,
eBay, I'm
no,
seeing a lot of
they're old.
folding
Don't
knives.
don't go with the new ones. These are Native American. These are Native American ones. These are the made. They're handmade. They're not. You could buy other knives brand new. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about the Native American ones, the ones that are for the most part probably going to be considered antique, right? At least vintage. They're probably made in the early 1900s all the way to whenever the Europeans started coming over here with razor blades, right?
Okay, I see a couple of examples. Yeah,
Well, what do you see for an example? What are you seeing for
antique
price?
late 19th century. Ooh, I can't say that word. Indian crooked knife antler handle.
You
They
can
look
say
very primitive. They look very primitive.
very primitive looking.
They basically a blade sticking out of obviously handmade handle.
Yeah, that's all it is, dude. That's all it is. But what kind of value do you see on it?
Well, I see asking prices in the 300s.
Okay. What do you see for sold prices?
There isn't really any. I put in crooked knife antique.
No, put in
Crooked blade.
Native American crooked knife.
Okay.
Are you on .com or .ca?
.com.
Okay.
I even get less results. Did you maybe I just type maybe I'll put in blade, crooked blade.
Here. I'll go on .com, but go on .ca and see what you see there. I haven't tried.
Shouldn't be different.
Oh, it could be. I don't know.
I'm just wondering if we're using the wrong search criteria here.
I'm using Native American crooked knife, and I see lots of them for asking. A lot in the 500, 350. That's US dollars.
Oh, it's weird how I'm getting different results.
So I am looking 95, 115, 175, 85,
Okay.
85. These are US dollars. I'm
So
seeing
what?
lots.
Sorry, what did you type in for the search criteria?
Native American
Yeah.
crooked knife. I'm seeing lots here. Like, don't confuse it. Like, there are Native American knives, but these are crooked knife. You're looking for the crooked knife.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes eBay search is weird. Oh, there. I got more results now. I
Yeah.
don't know. See, that's weird because I put crooked knife native, and I got like a few results, and then I added American, and I got more results. So I
Yeah.
don't know
I
what the
don't
hell's
know,
going on.
but
Why would I
like
get
you see,
that's results? Oh no,
I'm
now it's
still,
changed again.
yeah, like there's a good demand for them, so it's one of those things you're probably not going to see a lot within the like you'll like you might see 4 or 5. I don't know. I'm looking at solds right now, but 4 or 5 available. But if you scroll down, like I'm seeing at least a dozen solds.
Okay.
Um,
Anyway, yeah,
but
sure.
if you do a Google search with that exact same thing, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to see some really unique handled ones. And a lot of these are sold off in auctions and stuff. I don't think they put them on eBay. Most people will auction these, and
Mm-hmm.
they're highly desired and collectible.
Okay.
So,
No, that's cool. That's very different.
and honestly, dude, I've picked one up in a toolbox. I've seen them in like just a drawer at a certain person's house. One that I missed that I almost got was at an estate, and the person said he knew what it was, and as soon as he saw it, he's like, "That's not for sale." So, um, but you will see them from time to time, and if you get to learn what to look for, they'll stand right out to you. But I mean, everyone that I've seen so far is wooden handled, but you can I've got one in my booth right now, antler handled. So
Cool.
yeah.
Very different.
So there it is. And you'll see them at auctions too, because a lot of people won't know what it is. The one I got in the toolbox was from an auction. And it was like one of those $2 tool lots like nobody
Yeah,
wanted.
I know,
It
right?
was ridiculous. So so I ended up
Yeah.
giving that one to my uncle. But
I think if you just put in Native American knife, get the crooked part out, you'll get a lot more results.
no, crooked is what it is. It's a crooked knife. That's what it
Yeah,
is. If you're seeing anything else, it's not. It's probably not crooked.
right.
Like it's a crooked knife.
I'm just saying, yeah, yeah,
That's what it's called. It doesn't
yeah, yeah.
right. And the reason it's crooked on the handle is because that's how that would be beneficial for them holding it the way they would carve and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
um
I'm just saying, like when I do a search, not everyone's putting the proper keywords in. So if you want to
yeah,
get it,
that's interesting. That's interesting for sure. Um how
like if
that
you
is.
if you try checking out crooked, you'll see a lot of ones that I would call crooked, where they just didn't put in that keyword for people who are searching by themselves.
Okay.
Because there's bolos with just the Native American knife by itself, even if it isn't crooked. There's a lot of amazing value ones here that you still might see out there in the wild too.
Well, Native American knives for sure would just be interesting on themselves,
Yeah.
right? Like I could have put them all in there, although I don't like unless the sheath was there with all the beads. Like sometimes I wouldn't know it's a Native American knife, but
They
when
just
you see a
yeah,
crooked knife, you know what that is as soon as you see
true.
it,
But they
right?
have a primitive look to they have a handmade look to them, right? It's exactly what you said. They took the blade, they made their own handle,
Yep.
and you know, they might have called them Native American, but who knows? But still, it's no, it's cool. That's really interesting.
And you'll be able to determine age on it because the blade is going to show age, the
Yeah.
handle's going to show age. These things were used hard and put away wet. You know what I mean? Like
Well, like that, you remember that? I think I mentioned on the show the breadboard I got.
yeah,
Even that handle, which is early 1900, late 19th century, has that look to it too, because they just took a blade, they like Sheffield blade,
yeah,
it's
that's
like a
yeah.
130-year-old blade, and they just shoved it into this carved handle. Right, it's the same thing, not quite as primitive, but the same kind of idea.
But the where the value gets in my opinion, and somebody could tell me I'm wrong here, but from my understanding, would be in how well the handle is carved and made. It's almost like a folk art, like an
Hmm.
antique folk art
Yeah,
kind of image on its own, right?
well, they're unique pieces. artistic,
Yes, and
unique
they're
people.
definitely unique. Yeah, they're not machine made in a
No,
factory for sure.
no. Some guy or woman or whatever just sit there carving it and to be used.
I don't think, yeah, the Native Americans didn't have an assembly line for crooked knives, right?
Not at that time. No.
But yeah. So, anyways,
Ooh.
I love this Native American stuff. Like, there's just it's probably because I grew up on a farm and I would search for the stuff in the field and stuff, but it's just the art. The like, I sold a beaded doll once, and it was one that they would have sold in the 1920s. Um, on the side of the road to tourists as souvenir pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They're just like, it's just incredible, the art and stuff. So, I mean, if you want to talk about things that appeal, like, I would say one, like, even just like modern paintings and stuff with that obvious look. You know what I mean? So we've said this on the show before, but I've always kind of liked that kind of stuff, right? The carvings and stuff. So this is just another one. So another bolo to throw in that pile. But all right, Carl, what time is it now?
Time for comments.
Comments. Do we get comments?
We got one or two.
Do we? All right.
Well, you have to check Spotify because I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Let me check Spotify. All right. So we got comments here. We're on Spotify, and we only have one this week. It's from Tina Mack.
Okay.
Did she come by and see you by any chance?
Okay. So honestly, I thought I saw her.
Oh,
right?
But you guys didn't talk then.
But, it's been a while since I've seen her.
You're right.
And I've only met her once, right? So it's like, I don't want to be like, hi, and it's not her, right? And I did that to someone else this weekend, where I was talking to someone and I said, "Oh, what are you collecting?" He said, "Tell me." And I said, "We've talked before, haven't we?" And he went, "Yeah." And I felt bad, but it's hard because, like, I meet so many people, right?
You snubbed her.
Well, I don't know. I thought I recognized her, but she didn't say hello, so I was like, okay.
Well, okay, because I'm reading the podcast and I'm thinking, okay, she's talked to Carl and they've colluded to make up this message, but I guess that's not the case.
No.
Okay. So Tina Mack says, "Wow, a wager." So that would have been, I'll tell you what, I will pay for your item. So we kind of touched base about it, but at the bottom of the line, do I owe you? Did you screw up? Did you get affected by that sale because of the HST?
Well, we don't know yet, to be honest, because it hasn't arrived yet, right?
Well, okay. Has it passed the border? It should have passed the border by now.
I don't know. I never look. Let's see. Let me check. So it was last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was delivered.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
So I don't owe you anything.
No.
And I would have been more than willing to pay for that. $15 plus shipping, probably $25, right?
American, $25 American.
That's all right. That could be $1,000 Canadian now. I don't know. That is more than
it made it. No complaints. Well, I haven't heard anything.
So you stressed for nothing is my thoughts. Don't stress.
I'm not getting back into this. You live your little bubble and you're happy in your bubble. That's fine.
Dude, my bubble won. I love that you are so opposed in your thinking.
Who's she talking to here?
You and me, we're opposed in our thinking.
Oh, right. Okay.
That you are so opposed. I'm assuming opposite. I love that you are.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. Opposed. But here's the next line. I'm just reading it here, Carl. Scott, sort of, head in the clouds. Carl, the realist. So Carl stressed for nothing. I won the bet, but I'm the one at the head of the clouds.
You did not win the bet.
Huh? What's that?
You know what? Just for everyone listening, we're just going to pretend he's okay. He's right. We'll just keep going.
Dude, he got there no problem.
You're right.
Stressed about it for nothing.
You're right.
Let's deal with it. It's happening. It's not happening to me. And I'm not saying
so much. It didn't happen to me, therefore it doesn't exist.
You put the wrong emphasis
Can't
on
help myself.
different words. My whole thing was, until it does, I'm not going to make changes. I'm not going to stress about it
Mm-hmm.
until it does.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, let's deal with it. It's happening. Okay. So in your guys' mind, you guys deal with it. I'm not. That's what I'm saying. It makes for a good podcast with opposing views. I think it makes it, we've talked about this before. I think it makes for a better podcast.
It'd be
The fact
boring
that
to read all
we
the
see
time.
things differently.
As long as we're respectful and as long as we don't get stuck forever in the loop.
It makes for a good podcast. I agree, Tina. It does for sure. All I know is I miss the days that I didn't have to wake up and see what is happening that day.
Yeah.
And
that hour.
I'll tell you this. I do wake up and I watch it. I used to watch a lot for entertainment purposes because, like, what's going on in the world is like stranger than fiction. Like, you couldn't make a movie and make this stuff up. Nobody would watch it because it would just not make sense. But so I'm agreeing with that. So now it does take on a little bit of a serious tone. But I used to watch a lot of it for entertainment and just to kind of be in the know. But I was told once when I tried to talk about this to a person, and the person said, why do you bother? Why do you bother listening? You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel cursed in that I need to kind of watch it now. I wished I could just live life, not even caring. You know what I mean? You go to work, you live your life, you do your thing. You don't listen to all the mumble jumble. So I miss those days too. But some people do live with their head in the sand, so to speak, and not know. And sometimes I think that's probably the easier way to go.
Yeah. So my brother-in-law, he chooses to not know.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yep. No, I know
ignorance.
Yep.
It's a choice not to be involved. And I honestly think that's healthier.
It is.
Because humans are built to always be interested in news because it's really important to us for survival purposes. But now it's so overwhelming. It's overwhelmed our internal systems, which is, I think, causing a lot of the stress and anxiety of modern life. But for me, it's so hard as well not to look.
I think it's hard.
I think it's really unhealthy, but it's so hard.
It's totally unhealthy.
I think
it's a waste of friggin' time. It's a waste of time.
I don't know what the solution is.
Well, I know what the solution is, Carl.
Well, it's too.
I'm going to let you in on it. You get a cottage in the middle of nowhere, and you live off the land.
I'd be dead
off the grid. You live.
I'd be dead within an hour.
That's the only way you'd get away from it. But even that can be unhealthy in different ways. So, but anyway, so you told me to read my YouTube messages, and I did, and I replied.
Was that it for Tina though?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Tina. That was it. That's actually it for Spotify, I think, in total.
Awesome. Thank you, Tina.
That's the only one I see. Now, we're having issues with, I'm not saying we're having issues, but YouTube is kind of like sometimes cutting out messages. So I don't know if Spotify does or not. So if anybody did leave a message and I'm not seeing it, it just says Tina Max is here. That's all I see. Let us know. I know Don's commented a few times, and Randy too has in the past, and it just hasn't popped up. I will never not read someone's or delete anyone's. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, I've had that happen too, where I've left messages places and they've disappeared. So it's not,
unless you're like a spam bot or something. Like, obviously we'll delete those, but everything
else,
idea.
I have no idea why they delete stuff. But anyway, let's keep going. We can.
Yep.
Hey guys, I love listening to you two arguing. Well, that's good because we spent half the time doing that.
You know what the funny thing is, though? We only argue on the show. If we're calling each other, we don't.
What are you talking about? We paused and argued for half an hour here.
But only here.
You called me the other day. We talked about it off air. We argue all the time.
When we're on the phone, I don't think we might discuss it, but we never really argue. It's only here.
When I use the word argue, I really mean the word debate.
Well, debate is part of my life. I just debate all the time, so I don't know.
You're a master at it, I must admit.
Well, I'm going to keep going the other day, huh?
Okay, hey guys, I love listening to you two arguing. In my humble opinion, you're both right and a little wrong. Carl, you have to realize something. It is Scott's world, and you're just living in it.
Well, that truer words have not been spoken. I'll agree
We're
with that one.
we're all just NPC characters in your
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Um, I shipped a lot of 12 Skylanders trap figures to Switzerland. So happy. Great bolo on the catalogs. I'm surprised those figures went all the way to Switzerland. I must admit, I only have UK right now on my shipping place. So happy. Great bolo on the catalogs. I
Well,
find mostly.
Skylanders they might thought were Highlanders.
Then they
So
should go to Scotland, not Switzerland. What are you talking about?
I don't know. I sold 12 Highlanders. Isn't that is Scott? He says
God,
getting closer to Switzerland.
stop digging. Okay.
Okay, go
So
ahead.
happy. Great bolo on the catalogs. I find mostly the car part ones, which sell. Don't tell anyone, but the fishing gear catalogs sell fast and for big bucks. I sold some UK ones for 75 to 100 bucks.
Nice.
Trump. Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for the bolo on the
Yeah.
fishing gear catalog.
Catalogs in general, dude. Like not all of them, but a lot of them can get into $30 for sure. But like that's great. Ones for 75 to 100. That's perfect.
Trump changed his mind on tariffs because he watched a hockey game and realized Canadians are not always polite. The podcast makes Fridays better. Thanks, Randy. Oh, thank you, Randy.
So I messaged Randy here. I'll just give you my comment, then you can
Sure.
read for Randy.
Okay.
So I just wanted him to expand a little bit this because if we're going to read his, like, I don't want to say, well, what does that mean? So I put, hey Randy, thanks for the comment. I would be interested to know where we are right and where we're wrong to be able to discuss this on the show. So I'm simply asking him so we can discuss this in further detail. Like, where do you see both are a little bit right and a little bit wrong? Like, where does that go from there? Like, I wanted it for the topic of the show, so I'll let you read that. Hope all is well and have a great day. That's what I said to Randy. So what did Randy reply?
Okay, Randy replied, well, okay. Carl is stressing about tariffs on Canadian imports and Chinese-made goods, even if they are coming from Canada. It is a valid concern. Scott, you are not worried as it has not impacted you yet, and already things have changed or been delayed. You are not wrong. The measures Trump is talking about don't make sense as it would cripple the processing on the state side, but the people who make decisions don't have to deal with the ramifications. Isn't that true?
But that's just government in general. But we both agreed on that, Carl? Like we discussed that.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, that it was unsustainable for the border.
And you think it's now? Like wait till like Christmas or some big holiday. Like the parcels that are going to go through there are insane.
Can you imagine how bad it was when they like stop all shipments from like China for like whatever it was, 14 or 18 hours? Like it would be, it's like,
Dude, it doesn't even make sense.
It
like,
would be hilarious. Like they're just piling and piling and piling. It's like, it must have taken them a while to get under that pile.
Dude, like I don't know how they do it now. Like when like I said this before, when I was at Canada Customs, this was before eBay and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like dude, I'm telling you, there was two conveyors. There might have been a third, but there was primarily two, and at each conveyor. So at one conveyor, there was two. At Christmas time, I think there was 3 or 4 guys. They had a roller, and you rub it on an ink pad, and then you take that roller, and then you just try to hit as many packages as you can, and it just keeps going right by you. Like that was the process, and this is just one little place in Mississauga. Like this isn't even across the country. And if you saw something like there'd be like red flags, like country, no return address. I don't want to get into too much because I don't think I'm causing a problem, but there was red flags. And if those guys seen that as they're rolling vigorously, like crazy bad, then you grab that package and you put it on a cart. And then people at these stations, the computer stations, would bring that in, scan it, it would come up on the screen, blah, blah, blah. You open it up, you check inside. But dude, I can't imagine. It just doesn't. It didn't make sense. It does not make any
The
sense. That's
volume
all I was saying.
is just amazing. Like the Temu stuff I got the other week, I can guarantee no one looked at any of that stuff. They just don't
Yeah,
have
there's
time to
no
open up
way. That's
every little package that I got and make sure there's nothing in there. There's no way.
there's no way. That's all.
No way.
That was all I'm saying. If I hit 5 packages a year or one a month, which is 12 a year,
Yeah,
like I'm
but
going to
none
consider
of
myself okay. That's
yeah,
part of doing
but
business.
no one was disagreeing with you on that though. We
Well,
both
I got my
agreed
head
on
in the
that.
sand and head in the clouds on that comment. Like that's all I'm
Yeah,
saying. I'm not.
no
I'm not
one. I don't think anyone disagreed with you that it wasn't overwhelming for the border.
okay.
We all
Well, that's what
agreed.
I'm saying. I'm not going to worry
Boring,
about it
but we
until it
agreed.
actually happens to me because I
Right.
don't sell those things. And if I
Yeah.
do sell those things, the chances of them getting caught are like nothing.
Where was I? Okay. Sure, things usually work out, but if your orders are caught up in the latest maelstrom, then there are consequences. Negative feedback for something out of your control. Maybe US buyers will get frustrated with the delays. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And extra charges and decide buying from Canada is not a good option. Exactly. Maybe Canadian buyers will choose few Canadians to buy from.
Maybe Canadian buyers.
Maybe meant U.S. buyers, but yeah, I get the gist of what you're saying. We talked about that. And we agree with you on that.
Maybe he didn't mean few. Maybe more Canadian buyers will choose Canadians to buy from.
There's that too. That's going on a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So
I haven't really thought much about that aspect because it's not really affecting things going the other direction.
yeah. Coincidentally, though, the last couple.
By choice.
Well, I would say the last 2 days I had a lot of Canadian buyers, but then that catalog book for $350 was an American buyer. So yeah, I don't think that I was maybe trying to find something there, but I didn't see that yet.
Yeah, like here in Canada, there's a lot of buy Canadian, but I don't even know if people would really count eBay in that kind of category.
I understand Randy here saying that, and I appreciate you responding back to my request of a little bit more information on that, Randy. But he's saying here negative feedback for something under control, and maybe US buyers will get frustrated because there's a lot of delays. And I don't dispute that. I think we touched it a couple times this show and last show, but my thought is they don't have the infrastructure set up for that right now. They just don't. Like they just don't. Like I think they're kind of maxed with.
Well, we talked about that.
So,
yeah.
So if they created more infrastructure and hired more people, well, then at that point, that's when I start getting more concerned, right? Because sort of concerned if it's just Chinese stuff, but if it's all Canadian products, then they've created infrastructure. But right now, they just, I don't know, at least on our side, I don't know what, I can't speak for Americans, but I know on our side, we don't have that infrastructure in place. Like
no
one
kind does.
Of barely managing now.
That's what de minimis was about, is to prevent all that extra stuff. Okay, Scott is not going to make changes to his strategies when the situation is so fluid. He is right. Carl is concerned about the same fluidity as it brings uncertainty. Yeah, we both talked both of those things.
I'm going to add here, though, and Carl, I think you agree with me, but I'm going to suggest that most people, probably Canadian too, but I'm kind of thinking American, don't even really know. It's kind of like what we talked about with the post office strike. They don't even really know what's going on.
Well, it hasn't affected them yet.
Exactly. But so I am not going to go and shut down my account like some people have option to do. And I think that is a wrong choice to make.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. I think that's
all I'm saying. But I keep getting lumped in, and this is where it's frustrating.
Not about you. It's not about you. I'm not saying you're wrong or your opinion.
I'm reading 2 comments right here. I'm reading one comment.
Let's get to the comments and we can discuss them, right?
No. We already read it. Head in the clouds. And you said I got my head in the sand. And it doesn't, just because it doesn't affect you yet, doesn't mean it's not happening. Never said it's not happening. Never said I don't understand what's going on. I'm saying it hasn't got to the point where it's affecting me. Until it does, I choose not to pivot until I see what it's going to actually do to me. That's all I've ever said.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I love the comments, bring it on. But I'm gonna say my part. If you guys say your part, I love that. I agree with that. If you want to have a conversation about it, I totally agree.
Yeah,
But
and
at the
all
same
I'm
time,
saying is that some people have been heavily affected by this. That's all I'm saying. And still to this day are being affected because it's made a difference in their process. That's all I'm saying.
okay. I didn't disagree with that part.
Right.
Did I?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. So I don't even know where we were. Not to be political, I know where we are now. Not to be political, Americans are still our friends and neighbors. But if Trump can declare a win, then he will ease up on the pressure. Sorry for being so long-winded. Long-winded is not a problem. Do you have a comment on that? Because I sort of do.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I don't even know what the answer is here. And I maybe I shouldn't say this because I don't want to get political. I want to stay within reselling. But there might be a bigger agenda at stake here than just declaring a win. I don't disagree with Randy's comment. I'm hoping that that's as simple as that can be it. And our guys can kind of understand that and accept that and just go with it.
I feel that I agree with Randy here where he says, but if Trump can declare a win, then he will ease up on the pressure.
And
I agree with
I hope that's right.
I agree with Randy on that. Whether or not that quote unquote win is real or not, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, I think it's all just face value with this stuff. So I agree with you, Randy, on that.
Yeah. And I hope that's it for sure.
Yeah, I want life to be boring again.
What's that?
Like, I want life to be boring again. It's like each year I think, oh, this year is being so crazy. It can't get any more crazy. And then it's like the world just doubles up on that. Remember when we were just worried about the Canada Post strike? How naive we were.
Well, I'm just kind of like, I'm like, what would life be like if we weren't like, okay, we're gonna do the
like
podcast.
some excitement, but like
I'm not saying we don't do the podcast. I'm just saying if we didn't do the podcast and discuss this, like would things be really different?
No, they wouldn't be different at all. Like that's always the joke I make when I go to see family and we have big arguments. There we solve the world's problems, right?
See, and this goes back to Randy's comment. In my world, if I was in my world, things what you said wouldn't be different. Like they wouldn't be there. I don't know what side
Nothing
of
would
be
change. Nothing would change. It's all just words and hot air. Right?
Yes. Okay. That's
right.
It. That's what I'm saying. Yes. Okay.
But you know,
well, that's where I'm going. Well, what side of the what changes are you on? So.
If you're not interested in hearing hot air, you shouldn't be listening to this podcast because we're blowing a lot of it out.
Well, we do, but I think
that's part of the fun, right? You know?
I think it's the comments. Like I think we're all doing this as a group. Hey, listen. I'm the first one to say, like, I love to hear the comments and throw your concerns out there. If you're ticked off at me, like,
I don't think anyone's ticked off at you.
No. I said after my little rant here, if you're ticked off with me, like,
no.
I would appreciate it if we be level about it because I will try to be too. Like, I will be unless I'm being attacked, which I don't feel attacked at all right now. I do feel kind of like people are misunderstanding what I was saying, but to a degree, but maybe I'm misunderstanding what's coming out as well. Like I understand.
Well, that's why it's good to listen. We listen to the podcast after, and then we find out what we were actually saying or not listening to. I always find that the most interesting.
For sure. But I'm more, and I listened to the show twice. After you made me read Don's comment, I'm listening to the show again because I'm like, there's no way. God.
The only reason I made you listen, by the way, is because two people in a row said I'm right, and I wanted you to read that, and that amused me.
Well, that's why.
That's the only reason.
And I don't care what you guys think, as long as you don't misunderstanding what I'm saying. That's what bugs me.
I understand what you're saying.
I can say something. I'm not going to worry about it until I start getting it, until it starts affecting me, and then I'll change. That doesn't mean I'm wrong.
I don't know what I mean. Misunderstanding what you're saying there. About that. I don't think we said
Because I
anything
said it
else.
1,000 times, and now I got
I
my
know,
head
I've
in the
heard it
candy pretty
1,000 times
cute.
now.
Head
That's
in
a
the
factory.
clouds.
That's a factory. That's a factory.
So that's all I'll
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Are you reading Don's, and then I'll read my reply to her? Do you want?
Woo. Let's take a break and go with Serge. Oh no, you did reply to Serge. Okay.
Oh, I replied to everybody, dude.
Okay. Let's start
Okay.
with Serge.
Okay.
Serge. Tariffs on hold for a month. Trump, the Trump's bluff didn't work. But the countries have a month to work together. Oh no. I was thinking Serge like didn't stir the pot, but he stirred it up even more.
No, I don't think he's stirring it up.
Well, he says they're ranking 10 God. I think that's pretty well stirring it.
Well, not with me. I don't know. Maybe with other readers.
Well,
But
yeah. But the countries have a month to work together. Then Trump will come to the podium and say, I made a deal. It's a great deal. It'll be fantastic for America. Yeah, we can both agree on that, I think, right? He'll take all the credit, and his followers will be happy.
I hope that that's the case. That would be the best scenario, and I hope that's the case. But I'm also wondering if it's something deeper than that right now. Not conspiratorial. I'm just kind of like, is this the way they want to do business throughout the world now? Do they want tariffs across the board? Is tariffs like, I'm asking this. I'm not saying this. I'm hoping Carverman, Randy, I'm hoping you agreed with Randy, so that's why I put you there. I'm hoping that's the case. If I guess I said it before, so I can say it. But if they start coming after the car manufacturing companies and all this other stuff, I think it's going to be like steel, all that kind of stuff. The tariffs are one thing if they put them on the pass, so we could probably figure out a way to get through it. I'm just saying there could be more on the agenda.
Well, every day something happens, right? So it's who knows.
Like that's what I'm more scared about.
Like just yesterday or the day before was the steel and aluminum, right? So who knows what's coming next tomorrow or today? Who knows what's being announced during this podcast, right?
We gotta go and figure it out.
I swear, if I check, something's happened during this last hour or two. Okay, I'll read Dawn's.
And I went long-winded on this one too, Carl, and I did it because I respect Don's position, and I just kind of played around. So I think Don's got a really good, I would say, sense of humor or personality, and I don't even know her, but I just have that vibe. So hopefully I'm right, and we're communicating here well.
Okay, I'll read Don's.
Okay.
Scott, please actually listen to what Carl is saying.
Okay, I take it all back now. I'm just kidding. I already read it. I know.
The tariffs he is talking about are a real concern. Just because they haven't hit you yet doesn't mean that it's not a real issue. All shipping companies are reaching out to their customers to let them know about it. Of course, it doesn't make sense, but that is where we're at. Go watch this week's live of Two Dogs Digs from Tuesday night. I understand you're trying to assuage Carl's fears, but there's a fine line between that and invalidating his concerns. The things Carl is talking about affects all resellers in Canada who ship anything made outside of the U.S. into the U.S.
Not me.
Even if it's not made in China. We still have to put the HSHTS codes for everything going into the U.S. It doesn't matter what the item is. That's for cross-border shippers. When I did Canada Post, I didn't have to do that still. And yes, I do sell some stuff from China. I still have to go through my listings and move those ones over to eBay Canada and remove. Wait a second. Yes, I do sell some stuff from Canada, from China. I still have to go through my listings and move those ones over to Canada, eBay Canada. Why do you have to do that? And remove US from shipping locations. Oh, really? Okay. Or vastly increase the shipping price to cover DDP costs with Stallion. If I go back to Stallion, I don't know right now. I'm using Canada Post again. Okay, so cover DDP. Now, do you know what that stands for, Scott?
Vastly increase the shipping price to cover DDP costs with Stallion. I don't know, some sort of delivery charge.
Right. So I'm not 100% sure, but there is something what happens where so for the cross-border shippers, when they take the items across the border, so that's Stallion Express, Chit Chats, whatever, I think they're the importer into the United States, right?
Yeah.
And when they are the importer into the United States, they have to pay the duties at that point, right? So someone has to pay for that because they're not collecting it from the buyer, right? They're just dropping it off at USPS, right? Right?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
Like so the issue, so someone has to pay that, and what she's saying is that she has to pay those duties because the importer, which is Chit Chats or Stallion Express, isn't going to do it, right? And the
Okay. So let
buyer
me
isn't going to do it
let me ask: is this pre-Trump or this is since Trump's decision?
since Trump's decision.
Okay.
So that is something that hasn't affected me because I haven't done it yet, but that is another aspect I forgot about, which is really big. So right now I'm using Canada Post again. Yeah, for the same reason I am, is you don't have to worry about that yet. So that's actually something I completely forgot
Well,
about, which is a big thing.
yet is a strong word because we don't know if it's ever going to come back like that.
Well, it's happened. There's no yet. It happened.
And then it was taken off, right?
I'm not sure if it was taken off actually,
Well,
to be
you
honest.
told me it was taken off like 12 hours later.
Well, there's a couple of things. One was the USPS stopping all shipments from China was less than 24 hours, right?
Okay. But
The
you
other,
told me the de minimis has been set back because they couldn't take
yeah,
they
the de
couldn't
minimis
take
is set back, but like I said, you still have to put the origin and
you don't
was
have to because Canada Post even has
yep.
it as optional.
I know, but I'm not talking about Canada Post. We're talking about the cross border shippers here. In this sentence, we're talking about the cross border shippers. That's what he says right now. I'm using Canada Post
That's
again.
what yes, Carl, but you said you don't have to worry about that yet. And my question was yet is kind of a big word because we don't even know if it's going to come back and then you said I don't know if it's not gone away. And I'm
Yeah,
saying
but the cross border shippers, it still exists, and a
okay.
lot of people use the cross border shippers.
So my comment was to your I'm using Canada Post and we don't have to do it yet. And my comment was yet is a big word because we don't know if it'll ever come to the point where Canada Post will need to do it. That's all I said.
I know, but I'm talking.
Okay.
I'm not just
Okay.
talking about you or me, right? We're talking about the bigger
You
picture.
were you were just talking about you. You said you don't have to worry about it yet. You that's what you said, bud.
I'm not. I am failing in my communication skills a bit today. I think because I'm trying to say that like this. Let's start with this sentence again, okay? Because I think
Okay.
this is important. This is worth going over. Okay.
100%. I agree.
Yeah. And yes, I do sell some stuff in China. I still have to go through my listings and move the ones over to eBay Canada and remove US from shipping locations. I'm not quite sure why she's doing that, but I'll leave that alone. Or vastly increase the shipping price to cover DDP costs with Stallion. Okay. So that, as far as I know,
Do you want me to Google search it?
still exists.
DBDP cost
Yeah. But if it doesn't mean that, this was definitely happening.
with cross like with these
Cross border shippers.
delivered duty paid.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what I thought.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you think of the DDP?
Okay. That's with Stallion. That is not
Oh,
with Canada Post.
that's right. With cross border shippers, yes.
Cross border shippers. So what do I think of it? I don't. It doesn't affect me because I don't use them. I can't. They're not
Right.
viable for me to use here because I'd have to drive an hour and a half to get to the closest location.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it again, but this is
Well, you asked me what I thought about
I
it.
know.
I don't think about it.
Right. Okay. Anyways, this is I like if people are out there and you do use these cross border shippers, right? Then this is a big issue.
Then those people that are affected will have to pivot in the way they do it. And I see Dawn has pivoted. She now uses Canada Post again. She doesn't know if she'll go back to Stallion.
But here's the thing:
Okay.
someone still has to pay. Like if Stallion or Chit Chats or whoever has to pay DDP, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Canada Post is allowed to bring things into the United States without paying duties, and Chit Chats does have to pay duties.
Um, I'm gonna say that as of right now, Canada Post isn't dealing with it and doesn't have to because they have that 800 de minimis. That's right now. I'm not saying it couldn't
Yeah.
change or whatever. It could change. It changed and it changed back. It could also
Yeah.
change negative again.
And that's what she's
But
talking about when she wrote this, right? 4 days ago, which it did change. I don't know exactly when it changed, but she could have written this when it was still true.
oh, you text me when it changed, bud. I can find out. Do you want to know when it changed?
Sure.
Where's my
But
glasses?
she could be talking about the day before. Like, this is the problem, right? This is the cost that we were talking about, right? Is this uncertainty of how to deal with this stuff rather than
Okay.
get stuck. Because I feel we talked about this a lot.
Yeah, but
But
I think you're trying to drive your point on how it affects people, and I feel well. My comment was it's not affecting me, so I'm not going to stress about it,
I understand that.
right? So if you keep bringing it back to
Yeah, but we're
where,
talking about, like, I don't know how else to say it, but we're talking about a big audience here. We're not talking.
well, I like if you said like, so it is going to affect some people. Totally, I would go with that. It is going to affect some people, and it brings uncertainty to the way some people do business. Yes, I
Okay.
agree with that.
Okay, good. Let's keep going. So the tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods might still go through, by the way. It's being deferred by a month, and we don't know what will happen eventually. Yeah, that's true. It's until March.
Where are we here? Hang
There are a
on.
lot of sellers who order bulk from AliExpress and resell on eBay, but to make it worth it, you need to buy a lot of stuff at all once, I think. Yeah, so I tried it with Temu, which is really like AliExpress. We'll see how that goes. I wouldn't sell on eBay, but you never know. Some people do that. I have bought parts from Temu or AliExpress for guitars and things like that. Canadian geese, aka Cobra's chickens, are mean, and I love them. Yes. Yes, Scott, the asbestos thing was for the mechanical parts of the car, not the trim. Do you remember what she's talking about there?
I do. I don't know if I used the word trim. I could have. I don't remember that. But I didn't know it was in the mechanical parts, which is interesting. It's just something I didn't know. I don't know what parts would have the asbestos or what amount, or I wouldn't know any of those details.
Like asbestos, you think would be fine for because it's really good fire retardant, right? As long as you're not breathing it in.
Like the horns I'm talking about are completely metal. You saw them; they're just
Yeah,
metal.
yeah.
Um, the grills that I sell are aluminum. Um, that's kind of what I was going with, like hubcaps, uh, hood ornaments. So could there be asbestos in car parts? There could be. I just wouldn't. I don't know enough to know which parts would be affected with that for sure. Which is interesting to know. I'm glad she made that comment. I just don't know enough to say which parts would have the asbestos in it. And I don't know if I would just reduce it to trim. I was actually thinking like I don't know if I said trim. Like I don't even know if I would have said trim at all because I wouldn't have been talking about trim, but I could have been asbestos for the trim. I don't know. I'd have to re-listen to that to be honest.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just a comment, really.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't sourced in a while. I'm getting antsy, but must resist. Anywho, see you next week. So yeah, I sourced on Thursday. I had a good time Thursday doing it, but you know what's funny was there was a snowstorm here, and there's no competition in the stores at all, which was hilarious. So I found a $400 toy
Yes.
on
Nice.
Thursday, and it's LeBlanc, and I've sold it before. Her eye's a little wonky, but apart from that, it's pretty good. So it was a good Thursday. I think I found $1,000 worth of stuff in a couple of hours. It's been a long time since I've done that.
Yeah. Well, that toy you found before, and that was a great bolo, and I forgot about that toy. I honestly think I didn't even look for it or anything anymore. It's kind of like evaporated
It's
on
so
my mind.
rare. It's
And
so
then you showed
rare.
it again. I'm like, oh man, how like I hope I
Yeah, I
never
know.
pass that. That's a great one.
I was
So
just shocked. The best thing is that like it just blends in with the completely worthless ones,
yeah,
right? But anyways,
and
so you
it doesn't look anything special.
no, it's nothing special. No,
Like
it's just
in
a
the appearance.
rare one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
All right. So I did reply to Don.
yeah.
Do you want me to repeat it, or is that something just for Don?
No, no.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Carl told me to read comments, so I am reading early because she said that she mentioned how I probably wouldn't be reading this, because I usually wait to the day of the of our recording. So I put lots to go over here. Firstly, I have also said the tariffs are concerning as I ship 85% to the US. I actually
Yeah.
say that many times throughout the show. I think I'm repeating what I said earlier. Anyway, I even said if it gets bad, I may have to go back to Toyota for work, and that tariffs may even end that option, which I've said many times here today, too. Secondly, I never invalidated what Carl was concerned about in the last show around HS and HTS and the de minimis. I actually stated I will not stress about it until I see it affect me, meaning I understand it could, but it just hasn't. And if it happens once a month or 5 times a year, meaning due to the volume of the rest that go through unnoticed, then I will just
Oh my
consider.
God, you wrote a book. I didn't hit the read late more.
Oh,
Oh my
dude, yeah,
God.
you told me to read it.
Oh my God.
I will then consider
It's
that
one.
part of the business and
It's
still not get stressed over it.
one
In
big
other words, I realize
paragraph.
it can affect a small part of the items I sell, toy soldiers. I try to live my life dealing with whatever comes my way and pivot from there. I will not get stressed over things I have not been able to change many times over. Hang on. I'm getting blurry eyed here. I
I
will
know
not get
you got to hit
stressed over,
enter once in a while, man.
I
One
will not get
big
stressed
ass
over things
paragraph.
that have been changed many times over and back and forth like things are now, rightly or wrongly. It's not in my control. If anyone wants to stress about it, they are free to do that. I don't have a problem with that. I just don't stress over it myself. So feel free to stress over it. That's up to you. I'm just not going to join the club. I don't want to be the judge to be judged poorly because I don't stress about things. Carl is a great guy and
Oh, thanks.
a good friend,
Good.
but he
You're
does
my
get
friend.
stressed over things like not having a bolo ready or calling for private pick, etc.
I do.
Both he has mentioned many times on his own on the show.
True.
I just try to push him past those stresses, like he pushes me over listing goals and etc. We
Exactly.
push each other, right?
That's good. That's healthy.
We definitely think differently, and I like that about Carl and in people in general. Thirdly, if I sold things made in China and that was going to affect me as a reseller, I would either find a new job or pivot from to a different selling category or categories, comma S. There is so much good stuff available out there to resell. I always found adversity, and trust me when I have dealt with my fair share, can in many circumstances make people think outside the box and better their situation. That is not a lecture statement, just that I've found through experiences of my life. I do not stress at many times about many. Oh, I do stress at times, but mainly around poor health, poor health. That doesn't even make sense. Around people's poor health or my son's future, things of that nature. I have not touched my listings, changed anything because of tariffs, HS, or the HTS. And if people did, I feel it was for nothing as they are back to normal for the time being, anyways. All my shipments, knock on wood, have made it safely across as they should have. And even the item I said I would reimburse Carl for did as well. Fourthly, I think I already had a fourthly. This should be fifthly. I was trying to be funny with the fifthlies. Oh, fourthlies, fifthlies, sixthly. Anyway, fourthly, HST, HTS, at least for Canada Post, shows as optional. I am sure you know what option I took. LOL. I thought that was quite humorous of me to put that in there, Carl.
Ha.
I see you laughing away hysterically. Fifthly, I agree tariffs could still go through after the 30 days, but I feel the leaders make good on what they have conceded to. We should be okay. Again, in my opinion, although not a fan of them, I believe they are smart enough to follow through with the concessions they have made. And thus we should, I emphasize should, be okay. Carl said it, and I quote, it is their country and they have the right to do what they want. You did say that, Carl.
I stand by that still.
Okay. Sixthly, people who bulk buy off AliExpress can stress. I don't sell that way, so I do not have to stress for them. I know they wouldn't stress for me if what I sold were affected and theirs were not. And I wouldn't blame them for that at all. I would probably just start selling what they are. Anyway, I didn't put that in there. But seventhly, love the name Cobra Chicken. I've never heard that before.
Oh, really?
That is a great name. I never heard that before. That's awesome
Okay.
name.
Yeah.
The Cobra Chicken. That's exactly what they do. They hiss and everything, right?
Yep.
They definitely can be mean. Eighthly, I did not know about the asbestos thing. Interesting. Makes sense, though. Ninthly, go sourcing. Just be picky, but never quit sourcing, as you never know what holy grail item you may find. And tenthly, and most importantly, have a great day and even a greater week. Thanks for the comment and hope to hear from you more for next week's shows. Little wave and a smiley face with blushing cheeks.
We can't make fun of Dawn anymore after that one mega paragraph.
Dude, I just answered her point for point. I just went through her comments and tried
I know.
to
I can just see you. I'm gonna read the reply. Okay.
Okay.
Oh wait, I haven't hit read more. Please be small, please. Oh, it's not that bad. Okay. Dawn. Reply. Holy crap! You can write novels too. The AliExpress thing was just in reference to something Carl said. It's not a business model I have really any interest in. Yeah, me neither. I like trying things out. I don't think it's going to work out though for this case. I can certainly appreciate your ability to not stress over things you can't control. It's some foreign wizardry to me, as I am in constant state of trembling like a chihuahua. Yeah, it's not healthy. Everything I was responding to was from this episode based on how things came across. Apologies if I misunderstood your meaning.
No apology needed at all.
But what I heard from you was that it wasn't happening because it hasn't happened to you yet.
I'm going to explain why that message came across the way it did.
When many of
Carl
us
said, that's because it hasn't happened to you yet. That's what you kept saying. But that's not what I was meaning. I'm not going to stress. I'm not going to stress about it until it happens to me, and then I'll make my changes. Doesn't mean it's not happening. I know it's happening. I know what's going on. But things that are being hit with expense like tariffs because they're made in China, that's not really going to affect me too much. That's all I was saying. That's all. But never apologize for your comments, Don. Like if that's the way you feel it, we'll just hash it out. That's fine. You don't owe me an apology, that's for sure.
When many of us have seen the entire truckloads have been turned away at the border because of one or two mislabeled packages or packages with items made in China. Of course, now that has changed again. As Chit Chats and Stallion have sent out emails saying that right now we can send Chinese-made items across again. That Trump decided not to get rid of the 800 de minimis limit until they had the ability to handle the volume of package going across. So, like, who the hell knows what's going to happen?
I agree.
Before next week's show.
So why? Like, I think people who stress about it. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Carl, but they stress about it, and then you make decisions that do more harm. So if you shut down your store,
I don't think we're advocating that. Like,
no, but people have.
Yeah,
right.
But people say lots of things. Yeah, and they have a right to say that. They can make their own decisions.
trust me,
And I'm not saying you're saying they don't have the right. I'm just
I'm not
saying.
saying that at all.
And I wasn't meant to imply that you were saying that at all.
Right. But I'm just saying, I think they did more damage than these tariffs did by shutting down your store. You probably did more damage if you just let it go until it started happening to you.
Yeah,
You would have been over that hurdle and still running your store, probably still making sales and carrying on.
Like when
right?
the Canada Post strike happened, I shut down my store. I just decided it wasn't worth it. So everyone has to make their own personal decisions.
Yeah. See, I think that would have hurt me more if I did that. So I just pivoted and I used UPS. And honestly, in the long run, it's actually going to start saving me money because it's forced me to use something that I refused to use before, even though I was told to use them. And now I have used them. I feel comfortable using UPS, like locally, just because of the drop off location and stuff. But everything went really well there. And there's some parcels that save me like sometimes $15 per shipment.
I'll use UPS if it's a significant difference. I will use UPS. Yeah,
and I do find that they're a little bit quicker. So if someone was to request something get there sooner, I might, as long as they're not way more expensive or more expensive, I might, if they're relatively the same as Canada Post, I might choose them anyways. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying is that there was adversity there and it might have made me a better reseller. It might have forced me to think a little bit differently too, right? I know when my son was doing film and it was independent film, but we were competitive. We were putting it out into the US. Like those were the best places to compete. They had the biggest independent film competitions.
Yeah.
But there's just it was going to be way too expensive, or the location was not going to be proper for the amount of people we needed, or we couldn't get a location. There was many times I went to government run buildings like museums and stuff like that and tried to get permission. We like a Bacchus Mill. There was different places we tried to get locations and we couldn't get them, but it actually turned out better doing it the way we did because we had to improvise, and it actually made a better movie or a better part. So there's different times that adversity, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes it's a real detriment, but adversity sometimes can make you a better picker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you find different things. So I don't know. I'm just trying to be positive, man.
Thank you, Don.
All right. That's it. That's all the comments. Let's do another energy stretch and go for another 3 hours, buddy.
I look at the little recording and it says over 3 hours right now. I'm glad I had energy this morning, though. At least I could keep up with it. But
yeah, I gave you a headache. That's why.
Oof. But this whole thing, that's like I said. You know what they say? May you live in interesting times is it's a curse. But who knows? At least there'll be something new to read about, probably in the last hour or two.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? But you know what? In some cases, it's better not to know. Like I always have to know. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes I really envy those people that just fly by the seat of their pants and they just, you know what I mean? They just don't even care. I don't want to know.
But those people, I won't even get into it. Yeah. Wow. So that was 3 hours, or
3 hours. What
ends up being? It'll be at least 2.5, I think. Right. So thank you for everyone who's listened this long.
So, yeah. Hopefully,
dude. Like I'm not promising anything. Who knows what's happening? It's like all shipments from Canada have been banned.
Well, if that's the case, we'll have one show left because it'll be no reselling. It'll just be like it's over.
How to boil bark and eat bark?
Yeah, that's right. How come there's how to get rid of 50% of your squirrels?
I see 2 fat rabbits just looking at the side.
Yeah, they look good, roasting them over an open fire on a little.
It's looking at me right now. It knows. Yeah. But hey, is there anything else you wanted to add before we close out this monster?
Nope. I appreciate everyone's comments. I don't know other than that. I think I think it's everything's good. Like everything's good. I've had great sales. I'm gonna send out a $350 catalog today on tools,
Wow. Yeah.
right? So I'm happy about that, right? I also got some toy soldiers to send out. I'm gonna go list. I'm gonna try to hit, I don't know if I hit 20 today. I got close to it yesterday. I'm gonna try to hit that today, that target. The toy soldiers, I can do 10 in about 2 hours. Books, I can do about 5 in an hour, hour and a half. And then I try to add 5 other things. That's kind of my goalish. It's not going to happen every day. I know that. And I put a lot of stuff in the booth. Friday or Monday was a vendor day. So I'm looking forward to some sales there.
Yeah. And I'm going
What
to have
about you, Carl?
I'm going to have a busy weekend. Yeah, I'm going to have a busy weekend. I'm going to put it together at L desk when I get there. That'll probably take me an hour or two. And I got a bunch of inventory I'm taking as well. And I even listed some stuff this week. And yeah, apart from that, time goes by so quickly. So thank you, everyone.
Well, oh, dude. So I just looked at what's sold so far today in the booth. You want me to share that with you real quickly?
Sure.
Okay. This is today. I sold a book for $5.
Oh.
However, I put in, so I got these toy soldiers. They're made of metal, but
really?
they're kind of a lower brand. What's
right.
that?
What did you said I got some toy soldiers on. Really? You got toy soldiers?
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I just
so there's a pair, and they have both. Like it's Civil War, right? Memorable, like it's Civil War stuff. But they are metal soldiers. Plus, there's other ones that were kind of a lower brand. So, anyways, I put 7 boxes in, and one sold for 85, one sold for 60, and another one sold for 60.
Nice.
So that's today out of the booth.
Woo.
So that's 120. That'd be 205, 210, $210, and it's only 2:00. We're open for another 2 hours. So
nice.
So anyway,
selling stuff while sitting here, and you don't even have to ship it.
And I don't have to ship it.
No return.
There is a note here, Scott. Can you please fill out the HTS and the HS form?
Nice.
No, it's optional.
I
just kidding. So, anyway, you have a great week, Carl.
Hey, you too.
All right. Everyone else have a great week. And I think we got about another month, maybe a month of winter, and then it starts to get a little better.
Yeah.
Right.
You never know, eh?
You never know. It could go into April, but and so the future's looking bright, man. Just keep on trucking.
Yeah.
Keep on trucking. All right, buddy. Everyone, have a good week. We'll see you next week.
Well, when's our shows?
Oh yeah. That's on Spotify and YouTube, and it's every Friday. And yeah, so there you go. Have a good week, Carl. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.